Something really wrong is going on. You are out of order. You're out of order. You're out of order. The whole trial is out of order. They're out of order. That man.
I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart, and I want respect.
This is bullshit.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that clarification. Perfect. Thank you so much for that clarification. Okay, perfect.
This is bullshit.
All right, y'all. All right. Welcome. Gonna turn down. Oh my God, you guys. Oh my God. Hello, everybody. Hello, Amelia. Hello, Tia Dash. Hello, Marie. Hello, Gentleman Jack. Oh my gosh. This trial is crazy. I need to take a look at your voting record here on whether you've been watching this trial. Hold on. I need to get to I'm in StreamYard right now. I need to get to my actual YouTube live to see what the votes are. Let's see here. The votes are, so far, most people have been, some not all, but most people have been, but a lot of people haven't. So I will, fill in as much as I can, but also not drone on too much about details that you might already know about. So yes, today, yes, Sparkles. Today was particularly spicy. Or like I said in my title, sparkles fly. It is like watching a TV show. And I'm like, I understand when a defense counsel wants to put on a good defense. But from what I have seen so far, and I have not been able to watch every single second of this trial, but from what I've seen, the defense counsel makes so much about herself and she brings so much attention to herself that just purely from a court of public opinion perspective, she is not helping her client, in my opinion. I just don't. And yet the judge is fairly docile. Now, she has said on a number of occasions that, the walls are paper thin here. We need to keep our voices low. So I think that's why the judge is not like speaking in kind of a normal tone of voice that we could hear. She kind of talks like this. I don't know if that's her regular way of talking, but to contrast the judge's voice and way of speaking with the defense attorney is wild. The defense attorney's name is Shannon. I don't know her last name at this moment, but her name is Shannon. And so you can hear she's always doing these courtroom outbursts, and she, like I put on my thumbnail, her body language is just, to me, she looks like an attorney that's losing a case, to be honest with you. Shannon Smith is her name. Okay. So to me, she appears like somebody who's losing her case, because let me just back up a little bit. If you don't know what's at hand here, or what's in question here, is, did Jennifer Crumbley, could she have reasonably known that her child, Ethan Crumbley, was going to commit murder by her actions. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so by the law, I don't know whether or not, I don't know whether or not she's guilty of involuntary manslaughter. She's not being tried for murder. She's being tried for involuntary manslaughter, which involves, you did something that could reasonably cause a death, that could cause a death or did cause a death. And so the burden is on the prosecution to prove that Jennifer Crumbley reasonably could have known that, right? So apparently there were several motions filed, that always happens before cases like this. This is a big case. It's a very interesting case, right? I don't know if we've ever seen parents brought to trial in a school shooting case, right? So it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out and what the verdict is and how the law is applied and all of that. So, oh gosh, there was another point I was going to bring in there, but I'm just going to go ahead and grab the video that we want to watch and start out with so that we can start just talking about it. And I'm sure the point I wanted to raise will raise its head eventually. That happens to me all the time. Here we go. And before we get going, I just want to thank you all for being here. Thanks for joining. Please remember to hit the like button on your way in, on your way out. Really appreciate it. So, Ferryman, she maybe could have known her kid had issues. I doubt she knew he was going right. It's a really good question. This is going to be an important trial. I remember what I was about to say. There were several motions brought ahead of this trial, pretrial motions, where they discussed, are we going to discuss the extramarital affair that Jennifer was engaged in before or during the time of the murders of the shooting. And it's my understanding that it was the defense that was vehemently arguing that the extramarital affair should not be part of the conversation, that you can't say because somebody had an extramarital affair, that means their child is going to go shoot up a school, right? Well, today, the defense opened the door to the extramarital affair because the prosecution brought this man on stand as a witness because he had extensive text conversations with Jennifer Crumbley right after everything happened. And they were talking about these. And then the defense attorney gets up and starts to go down a path of, well, you were being intimidated by police into possibly losing your job because you were having an extramarital affair, right? Yes, more than one affair, apparently, right, Delaney? So she had fought to close the door before trial, and now she's opening the door. And I honestly feel like, and then Jennifer Crumbley had to stand up and say, I agree with this door being open. She raised her hand and said, I agree with this door being opened. And it feels to me like the defense was taking a Hail Mary tactic. She was going, this is what I'm going to have to do because I have to show that they were intimidating this guy. The police were intimidating this guy to get him to change his opinion about Crumbley and all this stuff. So let's just start it up now. Yeah, she was like, yes, that's true. Sparkles. The judge asked her, we'll play it. She's like, yes, I guess. I mean, she said yes a couple times first, but then she was like, I guess. All right. Without further ado, let me get this started.
Okay, so we're going to bring the jury in. I want to let them know that one of the cameras kind of skin just on his face when they sat forward, so I'm gonna warn them about not doing that. I think they need the camera over, so. I'm gonna freak the jury out.
Apparently, the whole
Isn't-
camera
isn't this witness?
Brainwash.
and the juror's face.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but that sucks. Of course, I wouldn't want to be charged if my kid did this. But if I went out and bought him a gun, if I put a weapon in his hand, and I knew he was having problems, or I should have known he was having problems, then I would feel guilty. I would sure feel guilty for putting a machine gun in his hand. Seriously. I would at least be guilty, if not worthy of being tried. I'm going to be super honest with you about this. I mean, my understanding is that my understanding is that the night before the shooting, Ethan's parents locked him out of his house because he was having hallucinations. Okay? So when you know your kid is having hallucinations and you've just put a deadly weapon in his hands and he is 15 years old, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to answer for that in some way, shape, or form when he goes out and kills people with it. Okay?
Maybe seated.
Fairy Meadows, this here is a very ignorant and apples and oranges connection. I could be held responsible for what I say on my channel if I specifically go out and tell you to do something to somebody, or if I put the weapon in your hands to do it. But we're not talking about normal adult, we're not talking about adult interactions here. We're talking about a 15-year-old and parents, okay? So yes, subscribers are not my children, so I am not responsible for them. And hopefully none of them are 15 or younger, right? And I'm also not sitting here telling them to go out and do things. So, all right, sorry. I just want to explain those things.
I wanted to let you know that I think one of the video cameras got a quick look of someone of one of the jurors as they pull forward in their chair. So I guess I'd ask you not to lean forward, but we move the camera too. So, the name of the next witness?
Brian Malash.
Brian Malash. Okay. Could you step forward? Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear to affirm the testimony about the give is the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, could you step up and have a seat? And you just state your full name and spell your first and last name, please.
Brian Joseph Malage, BRIAN MELOCHE.
Okay, so just keep your voice up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sir, you're a little soft spoken, so I want you loud as you can. Pretend like I'm in the bathroom.
Okay.
All right. And sir, how are you employed?
I'm full-time, my job.
Yes. What do you do?
I'm a full-time firefighter captain.
Okay. Now, sir, do you know James and Jennifer Crumley?
Yes.
Not through your profession as a firefighter, but personally.
Yes.
Okay. Is Jennifer Crumley in court today?
Yes.
Can you point to and describe something she's wearing today?
Yes, the gray blazer.
Okay. Would the record reflect identification of defendant?
The record will still reflect.
And again, please, nice and loud. I'm even having.
So it's interesting because you can kind of tell that this guy's pretty nervous, right? He's kind of having a hard time keeping his voice up and he's a bit timid. At this point, we don't know that this was Jennifer's extramarital affair. Not until later. Okay, thanks, Ferry. I didn't see that part of your comment. You know, it's actually very easy to miss comments here in StreamYard. So, you know, to anybody that I miss your comment, I apologize. Sometimes that happens.
Okay,
Okay, sorry.
okay. When did you first meet Jennifer Crumbley?
High school?
High school? Okay,
Yes.
so you went to high school together?
Yes, sir.
When did you first meet James Crumbley?
When they moved back to Michigan.
Okay. So in between the time you knew Jennifer Crumbley in high school, from the time that they left the state and came back to Michigan, did you stay in touch with her?
No, not until maybe Facebook years, a long time later.
Okay. And you said you were connected with her on social media?
Yes,
Okay, so is it fair to say you followed her on Facebook?
yes.
Okay. What about Instagram?
No, I don't think so.
Just Facebook?
Yes,
Okay. Did you know if Jennifer had a son?
yes,
Okay. Had you ever met him?
no,
Did Jennifer ever talk to you about issues she was having with her son?
no,
Did she ever tell you about a friend of her son's?
yes.
Okay. And tell me what she told you about that friend.
It was his friend, and then he went away and died.
Okay. Went away or died? What did she tell you?
Yeah, I believe he killed himself.
Okay. That's what Jennifer told you?
Yes,
Did you come to learn later on that that wasn't true?
yes.
Now, I want to direct your attention specifically to the days around November the 30th of 2021. That's the day of the Oxford High School.
Lorton girl, I want to answer your question. I did address this earlier, but you might not have been in chat, been listening yet. The defense argued successfully to keep the affair out. Okay. So until the defense starts, the defense starts to question this witness, like everybody had agreed, let's keep the affair out. And that was what the prosecution was doing. The prosecution kept the affair out of their questioning. And then the defense brought up the affair. So she opened that door. And the reason she's bringing it in is because she's trying to say that the police intimidated him into changing his position about Jennifer so that he would lie because he might lose his job. That's what the defense was trying to put on here, and implying that it was because of his affair. And so he clarifies pretty eloquently later why he changed his thoughts about her.
Shooting. Okay, do you recall that event?
Yes.
Okay. Is it fair to say that from the time period that Jennifer moved back to Michigan up until November the 30th, 2021, you two would communicate on a regular basis with each other?
Yes.
Okay. In what method would you communicate? Would that be in person, text message, messaging app, or all three?
All three.
Okay. Did you save any of those messages between Jennifer Crumbley and yourself?
No.
On the morning of November the 30th, 2021, do you recall receiving a message from Jennifer Crumbley?
Yes.
Tell me about that, please.
It was, I don't know how it started, the beginning of the messages, but it ended up that she had to go to a meeting at the school.
Jennifer, she had to go to a meeting at
Yes.
school? Okay. And what happened? Tell me what happened next in the conversation.
It was that something with Ethan. And,
Her son?
Yes,
Okay.
and was worried he was going to do something dumb.
Who was worried?
Jennifer.
Jennifer's worried. Okay. And she sent you that message before she had gone to the school?
Yes.
Okay. Now, prior to that, prior to November the 30th of 2021, were you aware that the Crumbleys had gotten a handgun for their son?
Yes.
Okay. And do you own firearms yourself?
Yes.
Okay. So you're familiar with how to store firearms and how to use them?
Yes, sir.
How did you learn that the Crumbleys had obtained a handgun for their son?
I saw it on a Facebook post.
Okay. And what was your initial reaction to that?
It was, I was just surprised kind of they got it, but
Why were you
I
surprised?
don't- oh, just that it was the handgun they had purchased. And
Okay, so you knew that they had got him that handgun by the time that Jennifer messaged you on November the 30th that she was afraid her son was going to do something.
yes,
Okay. Now, when she sent you that message, November 30th, what was your response?
I asked where the firearm was.
And why did the firearm click in your head at that point?
That's with my background and everything. It's like I know that would just be if something was going to occur, that would be produce just immediate irreparable damage compared to any other possible thing that.
Okay. That being the firearm?
Yes.
All right. Did Jennifer respond to you? Let's back up. I want to make sure we have the chronology correct. So November the 30th, 2021, that's a Tuesday. She indicated that she had to go to her son's school. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And she told you what she was afraid of?
Yes.
And what was that again?
That he was going to do something dumb.
He isn't her son?
Yes.
Okay. And then your next message or response to that was asking about the firearm?
Yes.
Okay. And what was Jennifer's response to that?
That it was in her vehicle.
Okay. And what did you think about that?
I said that wasn't a good place. It's not. It should not be there.
Okay. And do you recall what she said?
No.
Okay. Now, do you recall if this conversation was over the phone or was on a messaging app?
Messaging.
Now, later that day, November the 30th, 2021, did you learn what had happened at the Oxford High School?
Yes.
Do you recall how you found out about that?
Through social media and the news.
Now, after that shooting, did you continue to communicate with Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we have already introduced evidence through an expert in computer forensics about how messages are saved, and if one person deletes, one person doesn't. You told us that you had deleted those messages with Jennifer?
Yes.
The Facebook messages?
Running Fairy Meadows.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, a search warrant was executed from Facebook itself and obtained some messages. And Your Honor, we already introduced some of these messages through Edward Wogrowski. The people are going to seek to omit the remaining Facebook messages between Mr. Maloche and Jennifer Crumbly as a new exhibit. That's 426.
Is it 426?
Your Honor, I'd like to just review 426, but if it's the same as what was previously, just the whole thing, that's fine. I just don't know, is there more than what you gave me before?
So you should have all those, but with Mr. Wogrowski, we omitted 8 pages of that. I'm just seeking to put the whole thing.
What's the whole thing? I have not been provided that. This is the first time hearing that.
Okay.
I probably have no objection, but I need,
Okay, but when you say it's the whole thing, it's the whole communication between Mr. Maloche and the
The
defendant.
remaining communications that begins December the 1st, 2021. It's a PDF. It was printed. It'd be 77 pages long.
Okay.
And it has the remaining messages because, as we've already learned,
So if you've been watching this hearing, she cost $100,000. I'd be surprised if she didn't cost more than that, Danielle Marie, more than 100,000. I mean, this is a lot of work. But anyway, if you've been watching this case, you know that this is not the first time that Ms. Shannon, the defense counsel, has been it's not the first time that she's like, wait, stop. Wait, I don't have this information. She's flustered. She's defensive. She's self-conscious. She's combative, and she's disorganized, and she has no idea what she's talking about when she's addressing technology and how it's used. So keep watching.
when one person deletes but the other person is not able to, Facebook, the server, Facebook can retain them. So this is what's remaining.
Okay, so how long is this exhibit?
It's 77 pages printed out.
Wow, Crystal. If that's true, I didn't know that. You're saying the parents retained their attorneys. Ethan had court appointed. And later on in this particular witness testimony, you'll hear a text message where Jennifer says, "My son's life is fucked. We have to take care of ourselves now." So that goes to show you where this woman, Jennifer Crumbly's priorities are. The parents spend money on their defense, but fuck their child, right? I mean, maybe he maybe he did do that shooting, but they and he is guilty, you know, and we know he's guilty. He knows he's guilty. He apologized for what he did, right? Sort of. But wow. Just wow.
We're not going to go through all 77 pages, obviously,
Okay.
but I want to make sure that we have the whole thing.
I would just like the record to establish that when I was provided the proposed exhibits, I was provided 8 pages of them. Now, I understand that in discovery, through the 30 discovery dumps I got, I have these.
Okay.
And likely as we go through, there won't be objections. However,
Okay, I'm gonna ask him to show it to you.
okay,
Yes,
please,
Sure. I
yes.
have
And Your
actually
Honor, I need
printed out
a,
extra copies.
Okay,
Your Honor, I'm gonna need a moment. This is
okay,
77 minus 8 more pages than I was told.
okay, well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of discovery, and she didn't specifically know, like, this exhibit list doesn't say specifically.
Right, Judge, throughout these,
Well, they gave me
hang
those
on, let me,
exhibits
I'd like
on
to
a
respond,
disc,
You
and
guys
it's
are
8
respond to
pages
this
long.
judge. I just want to respond to the judge.
Okay.
Throughout this case, there's been different objections lodged by defense counsel. When we've displayed a portion of a Facebook thread or a portion of a chat, I don't want to have to go through that. I want to just give the entire exhibit to the jury.
Okay,
And counsel has had this for approximately 2 years.
okay,
And
correct. But,
Your Honor,
okay, I know what you're gonna say.
the
Okay,
disc
you
they
have-
gave
you
me
have-
of the exhibits
There's
doesn't
mountains.
match.
There's mountains
Right.
of information. There's mountains of information. He's trying to admit a portion of the Facebook communication via exhibit 426. You are not exactly clear what is in 426. You have the right to review that exhibit prior to it being admitted and determine whether you object or you do not object.
May I please have some time? I apologize.
Yes.
In
Yes.
all fairness, I understand there's mountains of discovery. I've read it all, but
I
2
know.
years ago,
Yes, I know.
I was given actual copies of what the prosecution intended to use at trial, and it was 8 pages long. Today they're walking.
You know, I was watching this earlier and going, gosh, there must be some other reason that defense counsel is getting so huffy and puffy about this particular witness. And then we find out later.
in with 77 pages. They actually gave me it on a hard drive.
That's a different exhibit, right?
Judge, these are
Okay,
these are
it
conversations
is,
from
but-
court client. or
But
court
in
client
addition,
Okay,
Scarlett.
well, someone might have to type this someday. Okay,
I-
so there was another exhibit that was Facebook communication that might have been 8 pages long that was a different exhibit. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, what exhibit number is that?
That is
it's exhibit 151.
151.
Okay, all right.
And,
So
Your Honor-
this is, yeah, I'm gonna let you look at it.
I'm sorry, the point I'm making though is that they identified the 8 pages, they gave me those 8 pages, and as new exhibits have been added onto the exhibit list, they have been providing them to me in advance of a witness getting on the stand. This is last minute craziness, so I apologize, I have to take the jury's time now
Okay,
to
it's-
review
it's all right.
something that they could have handed me.
Judge, this is wholly inappropriate, especially in front of the jury.
Okay, wait.
I've already explained why
Okay,
we're doing
wait.
this.
You said specifically in exhibit 151, there's an order about exchanging exhibits. What your exhibits are different than what discovery is.
We've already identified that in compliance with the court's scheduling order. We complied with discovery. This was turned over 2 years
You
ago.
are com-
And this is covered in the
I
stipulation
didn't
signed by
say-
counsel.
I didn't say that you didn't comply with discovery. If we put everything in discovery into evidence, we'd be sitting here for another 5 weeks, right?
Yes,
What is provided in discovery is different than designating exhibits. You designated exhibit 151 as Facebook messages from Jennifer Crumley to Brian Maloche, and those are pages 51 to 58, correct? So that's been admitted as 151.
Right.
There's not a description of that exhibit, right? So in what way would she know exactly what that exhibit was comprised of.
If she wants more time, we have no objection to reviewing this.
Okay,
Your Honor, the answer is they gave me a hard drive with each exhibit on it.
okay.
I had a hard time opening some of those exhibits, but what's on the hard drive they gave me is the 8 pages in Exhibit 151. They did not include 77 pages.
Okay. Did you designate which exhibit it was? Did you?
Yes. 151 is a portion of the Facebook thread.
I
We did
know
this
it is.
with exhibits through Edward Wogrowski. That's why we made it 423. We went through the whole
Okay, well,
process on the
I have,
record. 151 is a portion of the Facebook thread.
I
We did
know
this.
Look how she's, oh, welcome, Lorton girl. Thank you for joining. Look at how she's looking at him. And as this portion of the trial continues, watch her body language. And whenever the prosecutor stands up to make an objection, she crosses her arms, she gets combative, she jumps all over the place. She is back on her heels. Okay. She's back on her heels and she knows it.
With exhibits through Edward Wogrowski. That's why we made it 423. We went through the whole
okay, well,
process on the
I
record.
have a list of exhibits and it doesn't say that minutes.
Again, I'm just trying to give full context, Judge. We've gone through this with multiple witnesses.
Okay.
This isn't a surprise. This evidence has been with defense. We have the witness who is the declarant, and then her client is the other.
Your Honor, this is a surprise.
Okay,
And so to say this is not a surprise, it is a
Okay,
surprise.
it's not.
And this is a repeated
Okay, done.
pattern.
Okay, I get it. You guys are repeating yourselves, all right? All of this information has been provided, but there's a lot of information. If someone wants to admit an exhibit, they have an exhibit and the other side gets to review what the exhibit is and decide whether they object or not. Ms. Smith has objected to almost no exhibits here. They've all mostly been admitted, right? But the defense has a right to review what the prosecutor wants to present as an exhibit. It's not that they didn't have, everybody's had everything. There are boxes and boxes of things, but she has a right to review the exhibit. And rather have you sit here, I'm gonna have you go back and eat licorice and donuts and what else do we have back there? Cookies. I'm gonna let you do that for 10 minutes while she reviews the exhibit, okay? All right.
All right, for the jury. I'm sorry. Your Honor, hold on, I can just review it. That's fine.
Hold on.
The biggest fear I have though is that the microphone picks up, and
Someone's asking, One Red Rose, do you think this judge has control of the trial? I think she's trying to be fair, but she appears like her whole energy and her way of coming across is very she comes off like she can be run over, right? And I feel like the defense attorney is someone who will take advantage of someone who looks like they can be run over. And yeah, I guess I would agree that sometimes she does allow things to get more out of control than they should be. I've seen other judges shut things down a lot quicker than this, you know?
I've been told multiple times that it picks up between myself and Mrs. Crumbly.
My
So,
husband
can we have it turned
continues
off?
to tell me that you can be heard. Can we turn off the camera and everything right now, just so they can?
Okay, I'm going to fast forward to when we know that there's audio. There's been a lot of audio and video problems with this. At the very end of this particular day, the audio completely cuts out and they're still going. So all right. There's no audio yet. There's visual, but there's no audio. This
Calling
Only People versus Jennifer Crumbly, case number 22279-990-FH.
That's true, Danielle. That's
All right,
true.
Ms. Smith, did you have an opportunity to review that proposed exhibit?
I have had the opportunity to review it. I would ask,
Can you remind me what number that is?
That's 426, Joe.
426.
Your Honor, I would ask if the prosecutor's office would please email me exhibit 426 so that I can use my computer when Mr. Malash is on the stand to ask questions.
Can you do that? Is that
If we
possible? Is that technically possible? Okay, so do you object to?
Ask for them to send an
I'm sorry?
email.
Do you object to the exhibit?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna bring the jury back in.
Okay.
They
I
just
just need to get a copy of it so that.
We're doing, I mean, we're
Yeah,
having our doing as quick as
Thank
she
you,
can.
thank you.
Should the witness retake the stand, Judge?
Yes, please.
They ask if stuff can be emailed, they email it to her, and then as the witness comes back on, she starts having meltdowns about not being able to get the email.
In this case, all right? So Mr. Malosh, you are still under oath, all right? Go ahead, prosecutor.
Thank you. Okay, so, sir, was it your common practice then to delete all messages between yourself and Jennifer Crumbly, either immediately or shortly thereafter the message was sent and received?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to show you what's been admitted as people's 426. You have the screen in front of you. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is information received from Facebook through a search warrant. If printed out, it'd be 77 pages. And we have a conversation participants between yourself and J.C. Rumbly. That's the defendant, Jennifer Crumbly. Is that right? You have to say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. The green, so we know that's Jennifer Crumbly, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then the blue would be you,
Yes.
Brian Bush. Okay. Now I'm going to go through some of these with you. We'll start with page 16 here. And I guess first, these begin from what was recovered via search warrant from Facebook on December the 1st, 2021. And we have heard evidence already, so you're aware. See, it says UTC +0. Do you see that right there?
Yes.
Okay. So that actually means it's 5 hours earlier than the time on that text message, so you know. So the first message here would actually be November the 30th in the late evening hours. Thank you. Now, prior to this message here, did you have any other contact with Jennifer Crumbly from the time she expressed concern about her son to these messages coming to you?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that, please.
That was,
Louder,
oh, I'm
please.
sorry. I apologize. It was after the shooting occurred, and it was that the gun was missing.
Which gun?
The 9mm.
Okay.
And I said to call 911.
You told her to call 911?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you told us before that you're a firefighter?
Yes.
So why was it important to you to tell her to call 911?
Just to allow the first responders, the police, or whatever, to identify that there's potential what's going on. If
Okay.
we're missing it and something's going on.
All right. Now, it's fair to say that the first message we have here that says 12/1/21 at 2:56 a.m. UTC 0, that's not the first message exchange between the two of you, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So just everything before that would have been deleted by both yourself and Jennifer Crumbly.
Correct.
All right. So again, I'm going to refer to a handful of these pages. And just so you know, this is everything that was recovered from Facebook. Okay, so this is page 16, exhibit 426.
Your Honor, I apologize. Does the court have Wi-Fi? Because the file's so large, my hotspot's not going fast enough, and they just emailed it over to me, and I can't open it on my computer. Do you know if there's a password or if there's a...
That is so not my department.
Yeah, mine either. Mine either. Thanks. I appreciate it, though, that the court is helping. Do I go to OCS?
Judge, Ms. Nellett sent it again with a reduced file size.
Oh, okay. I'll try that. Thank you. I'm sorry, I just can't get it open.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, in the blue here, This is 12/1/21. So this is shortly before midnight on November the 30th, 2021. And what did you write to her?
I can't even keep up. None are threatening. Facebook pulls those down instantly.
Okay, and that was in response to what?
Sending screenshots showing what was going on and everybody that was commenting through their stuff or regarding them.
Okay. That's page 16. I'm going to go to page 33. Jennifer Crumbley wrote what at just after midnight on December the 1st, 2021.
Agreed. I failed as a parent. I failed miserably.
And your response was?
You didn't do this.
Okay. Now, is it fair to say at that point in time your information was received regarding the shooting from Jennifer Crumbley?
At that point,
Did you know all the facts?
Take note. She says, I failed as a parent. I failed miserably. Now, of course, any parent who just had a kid do a school shooting is going to feel that way, but also she's admitting that she failed miserably. She has guilt in her heart about this. And he, as her current boyfriend or whatever, is just trying to soothe her and make her feel better because she's going through a crisis, right? She knows all the information. He doesn't know all the information.
but I'm sorry.
Did you know all the facts?
No.
Okay. So throughout this text message or Facebook message conversation, there's messages from you expressing concern over Jennifer Crumbley, frustration by the fact that she's going to be charged, disbelief that she's going to be charged. Were those your opinions at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm not asking you to agree or disagree. We just want the truth from you. So is that what you feel now?
No, not. I've received more info.
Okay. I'm going to move on now to page 38.
Your Honor, I am so sorry, but I cannot get the file they sent me to open, and I really need a minute to get this file open.
Okay, I personally can't talk to that, but maybe.
Are you connected to the Wi-Fi?
No, it's not letting me connect. That's the problem I'm having right now. Okay, the joint OC guest came on. I just need to be able to have this open. It says I'm connected now. Let me try this again. The first file was too big.
Do we need Brandon?
Okay, they sent a second file.
Good evening.
I've got it. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, I got it. Oh my God.
This is page
Sorry.
38 of Exhibit 426. In the green, there are some screenshots sent, and then Jennifer wrote, seriously, question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, can't see my horses, question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark. And your response was what?
No one knows how to handle any of this.
Okay, and that was in regards to screenshots sent from Kara Pennick, is that right? You have to say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. Now moving on to page 42.
Your Honor, I'd ask the prosecution to stop leading the witness. I haven't objected, but we've been doing a lot of leading.
Assisting.
Okay, that's fine. I'll make sure that I don't ask anything that suggests anything. Okay, this is page 42. The top text bubble here in green, what did the defendant write?
Social media, we heard we may get charged too.
Okay, and your response?
I did hear that. That was mentioned on one of the news stations. I don't know how both of you could be charged. I can only assume they will charge James with the handgun not being secure.
Okay, and she wrote this December 1st, 2021, 11:10 p.m. UTC +0. So that is actually 5 hours sooner than that. So that would be in the evening hours of Wednesday, December the 1st, 2021. Is that right? Okay.
Yes.
Interesting how he says, yeah, don't listen to the media. They get things wrong all the time. But the parents did get charged, didn't they? So a lot of times the media does get things wrong, but in my experience, most of the time the media is supposed to confirm with at least 2 or 3 different sources before they say something like that, which YouTubers do not do. So just saying.
All right. Also on page 42, there's a deleted message here. This is green. Tell us what this one says.
You unsent the message.
Okay, and you obviously weren't here when Mr. Robrowski testified to tell us what that means and what that red X means. But what is the message that was actually deleted here?
Is that the green I'm looking at?
Right here, yeah. The cursor.
It was, we had the string lock on it. It came within the case.
Okay. Now, you had talked to her via message on the morning of November the 30th, 2021, when she told you about having to go to the school, right?
Yes.
Okay. Prior to this message coming to you on Wednesday, December the 1st, 2021, in the evening hours, did she mention anything about a locking mechanism for the gun?
No.
Moving on to page 4.
One quick thing I also want to say is that honestly, in the midst of all this craziness, this witness is a really good witness because he doesn't embellish. He just answers yes or no questions with a yes or a no. He doesn't try to make excuses, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure Ethan was their only child. Yes.
43. Okay. She wrote this December the 1st, 2021, 11:47 UTC 0. So roughly the same time as the deleted message we just referenced. What did she write?
The news articles are saying charging both parents.
Okay. In your response?
I heard that, but I can't imagine what they could possibly charge you with. Just remember, the news is not accurate. They notoriously fill in gaps where they have no info or report as fact. Report as fact info they get third hand.
Okay. And again, those were your feelings at the time?
Yes.
Okay. On page, well, what is the, finish this page here for us. So after they get info third hand, what were the responses in green?
It's coming from the prosecuting attorney. I need to retain a lawyer's stat.
Okay. And now we're in page 44. Again, this was Wednesday, December the 1st, 2021, the evening hours. That's the day after the shooting, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now we have already admitted this portion of your Facebook message thread. Again, a deleted message. Can you read it for us?
The unsent a message, the one below that.
Both. You just give us the.
You unsent a message.
Okay. And then what did she write that was actually deleted?
Everything was secured, not loaded. Bullets stored away separately. OMG, OMG, OMG.
Okay. And again, this is the conversation, the first time I ever heard Jennifer Crumley tell you anything about the firearm being secure.
Yes.
I'm going to move on to page 46. Okay. Well, here's 45 first. Another deleted message. What did Jennifer Crumley write?
No, I'll never be okay. I lost my son, and he's a murderer, and I'll forever have to live with the guilt of that. I'm not even sure life is worth living anymore.
Okay, and that one was deleted. That is, now the timestamp is Thursday, December the 2nd, 2021.
Your Honor,
at 12.
I'm sorry, I object to the prosecutor saying this one was deleted. The message that was unsent is not sent, but the next message was received.
That's not the evidence, Judge. Edward Robrowski already testified to what this signifies.
Yeah, he said, and you can both correct me if I'm wrong, that if you unsend a message, it can be retrieved. And so the message below that is at the same time, 12:42:32.
Yes,
So
Judge.
the message below the "you unsent a message" is the retrieved message.
That's deleted. Edward Borowski testified that with the red X, this return, it signifies it was.
No,
yeah,
he
it was
testified.
deleted. Hang on, it was deleted, but retrieved from the extraction report, or from the server itself.
So you're saying that she deleted her message about how she lost her son?
I'm not saying that. That's what Mr. Borowski said.
I'm just trying to understand. You're saying
Yeah,
that,
the expert computer guy.
Right.
okay,
So
okay.
Test.
This stuff drives me insane. When an attorney tries to split hairs on details they know nothing about, when they don't know the difference between a deleted message and an unsent message, and it's material to the case, and there's already been a messaging expert and the detective who actually did compile this report says when they delete a message, it's one way, and when it's an unsent message, it's another way. And then the lawyer gets up and represents a completely different thing because she's not following along with the details, but she's trying to split hairs on that same detail. And this happens all the time in court. And not that I think anybody in my chat right now or listening or going to listen in the future is a lawyer, practicing attorney. You probably have better things to do than watch my channel. But if you are, please know what you're talking about when you talk about messaging in a case where it's so material. Hello, Uncorked with Brandy. Just please. I mean, this drives me insane.
that's the testimony. Anything?
You can unsend a message, but it can be retrieved, and those red dots are what note something that has been retrieved,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
That was deleted.
Yep. All right. Okay. Go to 46.
And when they argue on that technology, they're counting on people not to understand.
All right.
And sometimes I think that's why they do it.
What did she say here on Thursday, December the 2nd, 2021, 12:51 p.m.?
My mom won't talk to me.
In your response?
You have more than you know. In our circle, no one is faulting you, and most feel really horrible for you.
And then, did you write something else?
Your mom won't.
Okay. And then the next page, what did she say?
She blames us.
I'm gonna move on to page 49. Okay, tell us what she wrote here.
The top.
Yeah, go from the top.
And we will never be the same.
In your response?
Never, ever.
And she wrote what to that?
It's like mourning the death of my child.
She's just giving up on him. That's her kid. He did a horrible thing, but she's just given up.
On page
Complete.
50. Their discussion about obtaining an attorney.
Yes.
Okay, what did she write?
I know we're working on retaining one right now.
Okay. And then what did she say regarding the charges she might be facing?
They're saying involuntary manslaughter.
Okay, so that is Thursday, December the 2nd, 2021, 1:31 p.m. UTC plus 0. So that's actually the morning of Thursday, December the 2nd. That's 50. Here's a deleted message. This was already admitted. Can you read us, please, what was deleted from Jennifer's phone?
We're on the run again. Helicopters, not sure where to message you.
We'll move on to page 53. And she wrote something to you right here, December the 2nd, 2021, 4:40 p.m. plus 0, so that's 11:40 a.m. on December the 2nd. What did she write to you?
We just bought new phones with old numbers to take care of all of this shit.
Okay. And the next message?
Clear your cache.
Okay. And then what was your response?
Good move.
What did you take that clear your cache to mean? What does that mean?
Just clear messages off, I guess.
Off of a device?
Yes.
Here's page 58. This was also previously emitted. Tell us, read us this deleted message.
We're fucked.
And she said that to you
We are
Thursday,
fucked.
December the 2nd, 2021 at 2 p.m. Here's page 61. She indicated she retained an attorney.
Yes.
Okay, what did she write?
Thank you. We secured a lawyer.
Okay, that's December the 2nd, 2021. That is in the afternoon of Thursday, December the 2nd. Okay, and did you ask if they were going to be charged?
Yes.
Okay, and again, this is Thursday of that week. And what did she respond?
Yes, we'll be charged.
Now, this is page 64. There are some photographs here that she sent to you. Have you seen these photographs before?
Yes.
Okay, and do you recall what they depict?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
There's a gun and a person bleeding, and the thoughts won't stop, and I can't recall about
Okay.
what it was other.
But that you recall that?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you think of that?
Disturbing.
Okay, and she sent that to you, and then what did she say in the message right after she sent you that picture?
This is what they found, a non-threat.
Okay, she was referring. Who did you think she was referring to?
A school.
The school. Okay, and let's go through this conversation. What did you write?
And never even notified a liaison officer.
That was your question to her,
Yes, sir.
and what was her response?
But the paper they showed is had all these things scratched out.
Okay, now, did you know that she was actually sent the paper without things scratched out?
No.
All right, thank you.
I'm pretty sure I'd end up looking that way in jail too, to be honest.
I apologize. Is your last name Malash or Malosh?
Malash.
Malash, okay. Good afternoon. I'm Shannon Smith. I represent Jennifer Crumley. You and I have never met before today, correct?
Correct.
And we have never even spoken on the phone, had any contact. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Okay, I want to go back and explain to the jury, have you explained how you became involved in this case, okay? So after the shooting and after December 4th, it would be fair to say law enforcement got in touch with you to talk to you about your knowledge of anything related to Mrs. Crumley or Ethan Crumley, correct?
Yes.
Now, on that day and time, the first interview you did was with law enforcement. You met with somebody from the Oakland Sheriff's Department, correct?
Correct.
Now, the first time you met with them, you were interviewed for 1 hour and 42 minutes, correct?
Correct.
A long interview. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And in February of 2022, you did a second interview with law enforcement that was about 1 hour long, correct?
Correct.
And then recently, so within the past couple of months, okay, in December of 2023, law enforcement did a third interview with you, correct?
Correct.
And that interview was almost 3 hours long. Is that a yes?
Yes.
So you were interviewed once at the very beginning of the case, right after the shooting, correct?
Correct.
You were interviewed a second time months later in February for about an hour.
Correct.
And recently, within the last couple of months in December, you did this 3-hour interview.
Correct.
It's fair to say that throughout all 3 interviews, you tell law enforcement repeatedly that you have memory problems, correct?
Correct.
You do not have a good memory.
Correct.
I am not trying to be mean to you, but you have repeatedly said you don't have a good memory. Is that correct?
Correct.
Asked and answered.
Now, when you initially talked to law enforcement, they told you they would like you to write a statement, correct?
Yes.
And you did, in fact, write a statement. You typed one out, correct?
Yes.
Now, the date you typed one out, did you do this on the date you were first interviewed?
It was morning after.
Okay, so the morning after, so it says you were interviewed Friday, December 10th, 2021, correct?
Correct.
So the statement that you actually typed out and wrote would have been done on December 11th of 21.
Yes.
Now, it's fair to say that in the statement, you gave law enforcement and police as much information as you could remember, right?
Yes.
And this time when you wrote your statement, this was way closer in time to the shooting than we are today, correct?
Correct.
Now, when you wrote your statement to police, a lot of the new information you're sharing was not in your original statement, correct?
Correct.
And you would agree with me that during the hours of interviews you've had with law enforcement, they have given you different pieces of information against Jennifer Crumbley, correct?
Correct.
And you have not had the opportunity to take all this new information you're getting against Jennifer Crumbley and talk to her about it, correct?
Correct.
The last time you talked to Jennifer Crumbley was December 4th of 2021. Is that a yes? It's fair to say that police, they have asked you the same questions over and over and over. Is that correct?
Yes.
And when they ask you the same questions over and over and over, you can tell sometimes they don't like the answers they're getting from you.
Now, do you think she's using her hands like that because she's Italian? Is she Italian? Her last name is Smith.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And when they ask you the same questions over and over and over, you can tell sometimes they don't like the answers they're getting from you. You can tell that. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. I need you to be loud.
It's incorrect
Okay.
point, girl.
Thank you.
I mean, sorry.
So when you can
Right.
tell they don't like the answers, you keep talking to them, correct?
Correct.
And when they've been interviewing,
Isn't it funny how she's like, they ask you the same questions over and over and over. And when they don't like the answer, they ask you again. And that's exactly what she's doing here. Right? Am I right?
they have started to talk to you about things like your job and your benefits, correct?
Correct.
And they have said things to you like, if you're helping Jennifer Crumbley, you could lose your job as a firefighter, correct?
Correct.
They have said things to you like, if you're helping Jennifer Crumbley, you're going to lose all the benefits.
Now look at her getting into the state's space over here. She's in the state's space, shouting over them.
Your pension, things like that, correct?
Correct.
It's fair to say that when you've talked to law enforcement, they have said things that make you feel like you're going to be in trouble because of your friendship with Jennifer Crumbley.
Correct.
So when you're up here on the stand today saying some of these things, we can agree they are brand new within the last few months.
Yes, new that I've seen.
Okay, so in largely what has influenced you to change what you say, what you said initially, is because police have talked to you and made you change your mind, correct?
It had to make me, from my original, that more information was needed.
Right, so my point is, you talked to them at first, back in December, right after the shooting happened, right?
Yes.
And then law enforcement met with you 2 more times and gave you information, right?
Yes.
And they told you that if you were helping Jennifer Crumbly, you would be in trouble.
Judge, objection, we're getting dangerous.
So see, she's like winding up, and she's winding her arms around it. You would get in trouble, and the state knows exactly where this is going, and it's going to the place that this defense attorney said, I don't want to go there. We have to keep this out of court during the trial. But she's going there. And then she forces the hand, and she has her client stand up and say, yes, we're going to go there.
Close to what defense counsel has sought to exclude, and I need to be able to redirect.
Yeah, let's be careful.
Well, the door's open.
Okay, let's be careful.
If counsel is gonna lay the implication of a certain reason,
Well, you're asking whether law enforcement threatened him in order to get him to lie?
Yeah,
then the door is wide open for the people.
It might be,
Thank you, Judge.
well,
I don't care if the door's open. That's fine. Mr.
Yeah, then I think we need to excuse the jury and have
And you just
That's fine.
defendant
You're
make a
fine.
record.
No, Your Honor, we've already done that. That is not what needs to happen, but if the jury needs to be excused, that's
Something
fine.
different.
you tell me. You tell me.
This is something different.
Well, there's allegations here that somehow this witness was intimidated by the police, and I would take that very seriously. So, if that's true, the jury should know that. So, that's a serious implication. So,
Judge, we can't allow counsel to say those line of questioning and prevent the people from having the witness give the whole story.
I'm not trying to keep the whole story. We can do that right now. They want to make a record that's not needed. I'll ask the questions.
yes, diva, man.
Okay, Mr.
No, we
Meloche,
need
Mr. Meloche.
For proper purposes, we need a record made, Judge.
okay. All right, 10 minutes, guys. Maybe 5.
Girls, yeah, Baruch assault. I saw that in the chat. That was pretty funny, Baruch assault. And so one more time, he opens a door that he had successfully closed.
Okay,
in the trial.
everybody be seated. I think I might ask you to step into the hallway just for a minute, okay? We'll be right with you. I know it's not a very comfortable position to be in. We're doing our best, okay.
She slammed that baby open.
Okay, so we had a motion to eliminate, gosh, when was that? November, March, when was it, 2022? And certain evidence was excluded, right?
Yes, Judge. Specifically, counsel sought to exclude all evidence of extramarital affair.
Okay,
Now,
so, yeah,
as an offer of proof, this witness, when asked, will testify that he didn't want that information out in the public domain. Now, I didn't ask him any of that information. Counsel is choosing to cross-examine him in a fashion which makes it appear that he is either intimidated or willfully lied about statements made. He has a reason why certain statements have changed, Judge, and if counsel is going to be allowed to introduce this to the jury, we have to be allowed to rehabilitate him and show what actually happened. And if counsel does say the door is open, like she just said, first, I would like a record from Jennifer Crumbly herself that she acknowledges what this means. It is her decision in consultation with her attorney and it's part of trial strategy.
well, credibility of a witness is always at issue, and so is a motive of a witness. And I did exclude that evidence at your request, subject to later information that if indeed something having to do with their relationship lent itself to gross negligence or dereliction of duty, right? So I did grant that motion. So what is your position now? Because the jury can't be led to believe that they, waterboarded this guy to get him to talk or something, right?
Your Honor, my position is that if the court has found I've opened the door, the court has found I've opened the door, and I would like to proceed with questioning.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna put that right back in your lap, right? Because you're asking me. I'm asking you.
Oh, I'm fine. I would like the door to be open. I would like to be able to fully cross-examine this witness.
Okay, could you raise your right hand?
And Your Honor, I would object to the court asking Mrs. Crumbly about this. This is trial strategy that's left to the attorney.
Judge, no, we need to have a
Crystal.
full record for appellate purposes.
A record of what?
Of
This is
the
where-
voir dire of the defendant, just
Jennifer,
the way the
stand up
Facebook
and
message
swear.
was introduced, that it is in consultation with her attorney. She understands what this means. She understands that counsel cannot use that prior ruling to her advantage. She understands that at her behalf, counsel has sought to exclude certain things and was successful. But now counsel is adamantly requesting that ruling.
I'm impressed with this prosecutor because he keeps getting poked and poked and poked and combated against. And he just kind of bats her off like she's a fly, like a little niggly fly, right? So I think he does a pretty good job.
Not be put in place, allowing the prosecution to cross-examine this witness, and when the defendant testifies as well, that's all out in front of the jury. So that's now fair game for when the defendant takes the stand, for which she's indicated she is going to do.
Okay, well, I guess I would say if the defendant takes the stand, it is fair game to the extent it's relevant,
Of course,
right?
it's always to the extent it's relevant.
Right.
I can certainly envision a possibility how it might be.
Your Honor, I suppose the first thing I need is a ruling if I've opened the door and if this evidence is now relevant about the affair. Because I still think it's relevant that police threatened and made Mr. Maloche say things that were inaccurate, irrespective of the affair.
Okay, well, I don't know what.
But she's implying that that the police were leveraging the affair. You can't have it both ways, lady. You can't, you know, if you are accusing the police of leveraging information over the witness, you have to disclose all the information that's being leveraged so that both sides have a chance to argue for and against that. It just sounds so silly.
What happened? Did they interview him for 3 hours and then threaten to call his wife? I don't know. I don't know what happened.
No, they threatened him like I asked him about his job, his pension, losing those things.
That's
And-
counsel's characterization of something that is certainly not evidence. The question is not evidence, and that is certainly that we're going to explore now.
Well, I guess the prosecution is saying he initially had a motive, perhaps not to be completely truthful.
And you'll hear now that she over and over accuses the police of threatening him, but she never shows proof of them, of an actual specific threat to his job. Sound like another person who keeps saying, this happened, and then never can bring in actual proof that that actually happened?
To the police because motive, perhaps not to be completely truthful to the police because he didn't want his private relationship with the defendant revealed, which, you know, I guess is understandable, but it sounds like maybe he wasn't completely open and honest with them as a result of that. But
Now, all prior consistent statements would be admissible under MRA 801. But first,
yeah, I'm not going to let you let the jury think that the police, you know, threatened him or did something to make him say something he didn't mean just to avoid repercussions to him, whether it's employment wise or personally. You know.
That's fine. Your Honor, I have opened the door and I want that door opened and I want to fully examine this with this witness.
again, Roger
I'm
from the
going to
defendant.
ask her, okay, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony about to give is the truth so help you God?
I do.
Okay, you can put your hand down. This is probably, I want to make sure, this has been kind of fast and furious here, right? Okay, so I want to make sure you know what was going on. A year and a half ago, there were some motions that were filed about keeping some evidence out.
Correct.
I guess I would suggest that now that we're here 2 years later and there's more information about the case, I can't even tell you if I'd rule in the same way, knowing everything I know now. But that being said, I want to make sure you understand what your lawyer said, which is that I previously ruled that in and of itself, the fact that you were having a romantic relationship with this man, to me was not evidence in and of itself of gross negligence or dereliction of duty. Therefore, I granted your attorney's motion to keep that information out of the trial. You understand that, right? Okay, but now, this gentleman is being questioned about.
And it looks to me like this is like a game time decision that that her lawyer made to open this door without consulting her client before that. Before now she has to stand up and swear that she's okay with it. So weird.
Why he did or didn't make certain statements to the police. And your attorney has indicated in front of the jury that he might have some motives, or maybe he's been threatened by the police. And she has said to me that she wishes to pursue that line of questioning. And I want to make sure that you are supportive of that.
I trust her, so yes.
Okay, so you understand that then we're gonna crumple my order up about that and throw it in the trash and go forward.
I do.
You understand that?
I do.
And you agree?
I guess, yes.
Okay. Do anything?
Judge, I think I should make a record so the defendant and perhaps counsel knows for sure. It's not just an affair with one man that was uncovered. There's web searches now. There's trips during work hours. There's when she was on actual work trips with other individuals. It's not just this person. It changes the tenor of the entire trial.
I don't think that that's appropriate. You're asking why this.
Judge, counsel has alleged that 2 investigators with 30 years of experience have committed basically a crime by intimidating a witness and lying to a witness, and that it requires a strong and accurate response. This changes the entire case, Judge. I can't let that comment go without being corrected.
Okay, well, I don't know any of this information. You're going to ask him, this witness, why he was protecting her, or why he didn't give full information to the police. We're not going to go off into Never Land and talk about trips or.
Well, trips with him, though. Trips with him when she said she was at work or using her son as an excuse to go somewhere. Trips with him in particular, Judge, that goes to the heart of gross negligence and failure to adhere to your parental duty. That is a part of the case that we moved past when the court issued the ruling.
About that.
Your Honor, lots of people have
It was
affairs
excluded.
who don't have children that shoot up a school. That's not true.
Again, counsel's now seemingly asking for the same ruling that she
No,
had
I'm not.
achieved before.
I don't care. I don't
Okay,
care.
I don't know what you're asking me to do, because I haven't seen any of this evidence. At the time that I granted the motion to eliminate, I don't even think some of these things were known. So when you say you're opening the door,
Yeah,
or whatever
dumbass.
something, I want to be clear on how far the door is
Threw
open,
that
because,
door open.
I also don't want to have this isn't a trial.
Yeah, that's
about,
my understanding too.
She's charged with being immoral. Okay.
Of
So-
course,
so
but she
that's
is
not-
charged
Your
with
Honor,
failure to adhere to her
I
parental
understand
duty.
that.
Your
I
Honor,
understand that.
It's going to come out that they had an affair. Okay. It is not because of the affair that Mr. Maloche changed his statement. The first time Mr. Maloche was interviewed, he told.
And for any of you who are watching this live, right, at this point, the chat is going insane. People are like, oh, that's it. They're accusing her of having an affair, and that's why she had that's why she has a school shooter son. Well, she's not guilty now. And other people were like, it was going insane. And I don't think the prosecution is trying to say, oh, she had an affair. That means she caused a school shooting. In fact, they were fine with keeping it out. It's the defense that opened the door. So anyway, the chat was going nuts.
Told him about the affair. The second time he was interviewed, he told them more about the affair. The third time he was interviewed, he told them even more about the affair. That's not his motive for changing his story. His motive for changing his story is because law enforcement put pressure on him and made him fear he'd lose his job.
All right.
It is completely inaccurate. Again,
Okay.
now
It's
we have to
in
introduce
evidence.
witnesses.
Okay, I'm not addressing that right now. I'm addressing now we're going to put in all this information about affairs and all kinds of things that she was spending time with him instead of her son. How far are we taking this? That's what I want to know.
I guess it depends on the questioning.
Okay, well,
Because if that's the record, and if that's the request, and if that is the defendant's wish, Judge, that's fine. But we are gonna go through that door with the evidence that we have.
I'm not privy to the information. I don't know what happened. I don't know what the police reports say. I don't know what he said about his relationship with her. Right? I don't know that. But it's also, this is not a trial about her morality. So I want to make sure that we stick to the elements of the case and what you're required to prove, which is not that she's a bad person. That's
Judge,
not what we're here about.
Counsel has made it a trial now, and if law enforcement is appropriate or not. So
Whether law enforcement was appropriate with Mr. Malash or not has been made an issue.
yes,
But are we gonna have another week of trial about how terrible Mrs. Crumley is? And
this is the same argument as when the court brought up the pictures of the home. Nobody is arguing that they're terrible or dirty. We're arguing that they were grossly negligent in adhering to the
I
parental duty.
understand what you're
and that
arguing. That's
caused
why I want
death.
the evidence to be relevant as to that.
And Judge, we stuck to the very fine line that this court gave us in the ruling. Counsel's the one who has suggested, not just suggested, but actually alleged that two investigators intimidated and lied.
I understand that. That has definitely been raised and definitely should be evaluated. But I don't know what else you're asking to present.
Well, at a minimum, those investigators to testify regarding their statements. At a bare minimum, Judge, there's a number of items found off of the defendant's phone regarding the extramarital affair. The timing of that is important. And if you want us to stick to just what happened with Mr. Malash, that's fine. But there is a vast amount of evidence to draw upon.
What I've noticed also is that defense counsel's constantly looking back at the camera. Okay. Now, she could be looking back to see somebody else in the court, but her eye always connects with the camera. I mean, am I right?
Defendant's phone regarding the extramarital affair. The timing of that is important. And if you want us to stick to just what happened with Mr. Malash, that's fine. But there is a vast amount of evidence to draw upon. And I'm uncomfortable at this point with the defendant saying, I guess, maybe. I think she needs to speak with her attorney, and I think that record needs to be made clear.
We've already spoke about it, Your Honor. We've spoke about it extensively, and an affair is what an affair is. And if they want to sit here, it'll just make my case even stronger that all they are doing is punishing Mrs. Crumbly for the wrong things.
Okay, but I guess I'm at a disadvantage because I don't know. Only the defense and the prosecution know what's going to come out. So does she know the extent of what's going to come out? I don't. So
She knows the extent of what happened, and what's going to come out is going to be the truth about what happened.
Okay.
And at this point, her life is more important than her dignity in terms of she had an affair. Lots of people have affairs. I mean, that's the bottom line is at the end of the day, doesn't mean you know your kid's a school shooter. It doesn't mean that you know your child is going to kill people.
No one said that.
Argument, but I have a duty to evaluate evidence, determine if it's relevant, and if its relevance is outweighed by its prejudice. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Bye, circles.
Well, I believe that the affair is not the motive for Mr. Malash to say that the police put pressure on him the way they did to change his statement.
I understand you told me that. I don't know what's coming in beyond that.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold up. Is that true? This was Larry Nassar's lawyer? This was Larry Nassar's lawyer? That says a lot. That says a lot. Oh, God.
I don't know.
To be quite honest, they can bring in wheelbarrows and stuff to show the affair. I mean, if anything, it just goes to my case to show they don't have a real case.
Okay, well, they say that there's evidence that when she should have been taking him to a Boy Scout meeting, she was with her lover. I don't know. That's an example. I don't know what's going to come out. So I'm okay. So you want me to bring the jury back in?
Yes.
As long as the defendant's satisfied, Judge.
Okay. I don't know what to say. I don't know what the evidence is going to show. But I'm not positive the jury hasn't already figured that out anyway.
Yep, it's true. I just confirmed it. I'm
You ready for the jury?
uploading something right now.
All right.
Wow. Shannon Smith is part of the defense team representing disgraced sports doctor Larry Nassar, who pleaded guilty. I have a very hard time believing my client could have even possibly assaulted that many people day in and day out in front of their parents, and that every single one of those things was a crime. But he was such a manipulator, he got away with it, he told, blah, blah, blah. I just can't imagine that's true. Well, he was guilty, wasn't he?
I'm going to bring this.
Wow.
Please walk this way.
I mean, I feel like every time she turns around and looks back, she's trying to figure out what angle is this camera at right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Walsh, we were talking about the 3 different times that you spoke to police, correct? It's fair that from the very beginning, the first time you talked to police, you told police that you and Mrs. Crumbly had had an extramarital affair, correct? You told police from the very beginning your relationship with Mrs. Crumbly involved a sexual relationship, correct? And so when you're in here testifying, it's fair to say that law enforcement talked to you about the affair right after the shooting. You told them all about it, right? I'm sorry.
Yes. Judge, I think counsel needs to be specific. She's saying law enforcement using general terms, and she needs to be specific and asking us what his question.
Well, there's a lot of different law enforcement, so it probably would be good to be specific.
The first detective that you had an interview with, you told him that you and Mrs. Crumbly had a sexual relationship.
Again, identify who she's speaking to.
Do you recall who was the first, which officer are you talking?
Thanks, y'all. I think I needed to plug in my connections better. So let me know if this is better or not. Thank you.
Which one am I talking about?
Yeah, the first, you're asking him
Sure.
about the first one who interviewed him. I'm assuming you know who that is. There's lots of law enforcement.
I know, which is why I have the name, but
Okay. Do you remember who it was initially, Mr. Walsh? Okay.
it appears to be Lieutenant Weir. Does that sound correct? Oh, no, I'm sorry. You talked to Brian Joseph the first time, correct?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, does it sound right if I said you spoke to Brian, I'm saying your name.
Ah.
Okay. On 12/10, you went to the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, the Brandon Township substation, correct?
Correct.
You were interviewed at approximately 15
Ain't on your
hours,
business.
so that would have been, what, 3:30 in the afternoon?
Correct.
Okay, and on that day, I'm having a difficult time telling which detective it was that did that interview. It was during that interview, though, that you gave them a copy of your Facebook Messenger thread, correct? You gave it to them on a thumb drive?
Yes.
And you specifically did turn that drive over to Sergeant Brian. Do you recall that?
I don't know.
The person, okay, if I said the person that you handed the thumb drive over to, was that the same person who did the interview with you?
Yes, they used the thumb drive on the computer.
Okay, I'm just checking. If the police report says you gave the thumb drive to Detective Joe Bryan, does that sound right?
I had no possession of the thumb drive. We were on a computer at the substation.
So he asked you for access to your messenger.
Correct.
You gave him access.
Correct.
And Detective Joe Bryan was the one who downloaded the messages.
I don't know the detective's name. I think Joe Bryan was a different interview.
Okay, so you don't know the name, but you know it was a detective at the substation from the Oakland Sheriff's Department.
Correct.
Okay. And on the report, I also see source Lieutenant Weir. I'm just having a hard time identifying which police officer it was. You're sure it was a police officer or a detective that you met with, correct?
Yes.
And you're aware that that interview was video recorded, correct?
At the substation?
Yes.
I'm not aware.
Well, and it was the interview that took place that was a little bit less than 2 hours.
Okay.
Okay, the day after that interview is when you
Just hang on. I understand it's cross-examination, but counsel can't just make a statement with the word correct at the end and then the witness clearly not understand and then just move on as if that's the truth.
Okay,
We have to be
yes,
specific.
give him
Now, maybe she should say something like, I don't know, maybe she should just keep saying perfect.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much for that clarification. Perfect. Thank you so much for that clarification. Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
That's from literally 1.5 hour span of that hearing. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So this lawyer's correct. This lawyer's correct is Lana's perfect. Perfect, perfect. Sidebar, sidebar. At least there is a jury here, so she asked for a sidebar.
a second to think about it. You didn't answer the question.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I don't remember my last question. I think I was just establishing a time frame. You did the interview on Friday, December 10th, 2021.
That was the first time.
Is that true?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and that was 1 week after the last time you had contact with Jennifer Crumbly.
Yes.
The first time when you spoke with the officer at the substation, you disclosed to them that you had knowledge about Jennifer Crumbly.
Yes.
And you said that you told them right away that you had had a sexual relationship with her.
Yes.
And the fact that you and Jennifer Crumbly had a sexual relationship is certainly something you did not want to be public, correct?
Correct.
You talked to
Of
police
course.
again, we talked about in February for an hour. Was that also at a substation?
The second interview?
Yes.
No, ma'am, that was at a building over here, part of the county complex.
So you met them at the county complex and you had the second interview, which was just under an hour long.
Correct.
When you had that second interview, now that was in February of 2022, you told them again, you confirmed for them again, as much as you probably didn't want to, I had a sexual relationship with Jennifer Crumbly.
Correct.
In the third interview, back in December, just a couple months ago, they asked you again for more information and you told them again you had a sexual relationship with Jennifer Crumbly.
Correct.
Now, the prosecution may ask you a lot of questions.
Actually, in the form of the question doesn't matter, but I ask him now, Judge.
I haven't even asked my question.
Okay, what's the question?
My question is, when you talked to law enforcement and you changed,
Again, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Specifics matter, okay? So if counsel is gonna request this kind of question from the witness, she has to be specific.
Okay, this tripped me out. So she's always super defensive when this prosecutor gets up to object and stuff like that. let's wind this back a bit. Watch her body language. Watch how she just rears up and puts her arms up and like fixes her hair, and she's like, "Rah!" Watch this.
You changed.
Again, I'm sorry to
Okay.
Okay, so if council's gonna address this kind of question with Lou, she has to be
I
specific.
can't even get my question out.
Okay, well, he needs to know, because there were 3 different times, so that would help him too.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Over the course of the investigation, you testified earlier that your answers to certain questions have changed. Correct?
Yes, I've added.
You've added, okay. But one thing you have not changed, it's not the statements about your sexual relationship with Jennifer Crumbly. You've always said you had a sexual relationship. As police came and talked to you a second and a third time, they wanted more details about where you had sex and other details about those experiences, correct?
Correct.
Now, when I was asking you if you felt like you were threatened in any way, that had to do with feeling threatened that your job was at issue.
She didn't ask if he felt threatened. She outright said that he was threatened. So interesting that she walks that back now in this questioning.
Or that your benefits could be lost,
Judge,
correct?
object again for the question. She needs to be specific. She's going to answer something like threats. That needs to be specific.
Okay, then I'll go to the third interview. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
In
be
the-
specific.
Okay, I'm going to be very specific. In the third interview, when you talked to them in December, they specifically said to you, talked to you about your job employment as a firefighter, correct?
Correct.
They specifically talked to you about the details of your benefits, including your pension, correct?
Correct.
They made you feel like if you didn't give answers they wanted.
Objection in the form of the question. They made you feel. How could he possibly testify to what somebody else's intent was? That would be speculation.
I'll ask how he felt.
Okay.
When you were in that third interview, you were scared at the thought of losing your job or benefits.
No, I was not.
You do not want to lose your job or benefits.
No, I don't.
And when you were in that conversation with them, it was during that third interview that they asked you the same questions you had been asked many times before, correct?
Correct.
And they were saying very
That's
negative
normal.
things about Jennifer Crumbly to you during that third interview.
Judge, specific.
Yeah,
Objection in the form of the question.
yeah, negative like what?
They
Investigators will regularly ask the same question over and over and over to see if they get the same answer. It's how they can trip people up. It may be shitty, but it's what they do.
told you that they had evidence of Jennifer lying about things, correct?
Correct.
They gave you the impression that you didn't know everything about Jennifer Crumbly.
And speculation, Judge. They gave
I'm
you
asking
the
his
impression. Hang on, I'm
impression.
not done. They gave you the impression. If she wants to cross-examine him on statements, she can, but she can't make a broad statement about what their intent was. That's speculation.
Well, their intent is speculation, but if you have specific examples of things that were said potentially by the police to this witness, you can ask.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Specifically, the officer talked to you about ranks within the fire department, correct?
Correct.
They talked to you about seniorities, correct?
Correct.
They talked to you about all the training you had to go through to take each position and the seniority levels at the fire department.
Correct.
You explained to them how you got to each position at the fire department, correct?
Correct.
The officer explained to you that it's important that all the cards are on the table, correct?
Correct.
And then the officer begins to talk to you and reassured you you're not in any trouble. Is that a true statement?
Correct.
And they begin to tell you things that officer.
See? She goes ahead and states on the record that the police told him he's not in any kind of trouble. All right.
Tells you he's not trying to be threatening to you, but he wants to put the cards on the table, correct?
What page are we talking about?
It's
here?
at 18 minutes and 57 seconds in the third interview. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And when he told you that the cards should be on the table, I'm asking your impression.
And the detective says, I'm not trying to be threatening to you. What she's supposed to be coming up here with is a specific threat. Let's see if she pays off what she has tried to cash.
Took that to mean that your job and your benefits could be on the line if you said anything favorable for Jennifer Crumbly.
Objection. He just answered that he wasn't threatened. He just was asked that question and said, no, I wasn't threatened.
Okay, was there a specific threat into?
No, ma'am.
Was there any kind of veiled threat? Did you take anything as a veiled threat?
Yes, just that the information that's now out regarding my relationship was going to be out publicly.
Okay.
Okay, so there were veiled threats made against you.
Okay, hold on.
I'm just clarifying. That was
What does veiled threats
Well,
mean?
I asked if there were any.
I know, Judge, and that's fine. The court's entitled to ask whatever the court
Okay,
likes.
I asked if there were any veiled threat. I asked if there were any.
I know, Judge. Hold on.
I'm just clarifying.
Look
that
at her
was-
flail
What does
the
veiled
look at
threats
this.
mean?
I asked if there were any.
I know, Judge, and that's fine. The court's entitled to ask whatever the court
Okay,
likes.
I asked if there were any veiled threats, so that was his invitation to say, yes, they said that they would call my boss, so they said that they would, make sure everyone in my union knew, whatever it is.
Those are all great questions to ask, which I will.
All right.
Okay. When you were interviewed in the third interview that lasted 2 hours and 45 minutes, it's fair to say you discussed far more than in the first and second interview with police.
Correct.
And when you were interviewed the first and second time with police, when it was closer to the shooting, you would agree with me that you were truthful in those interviews.
Yes.
And during those first and second interviews, you also, in between those two, wrote a statement that you typed out.
Yes.
Okay, so some of the information that you're seeing now is only from, and I'll go through specifically what I mean. So when you were interviewed in those first and second interviews, you never said that you thought there was something wrong with Ethan or that he was disturbed, correct?
Correct.
And today when you're on the stand, you're saying you believe he was disturbed or there was something wrong. Fair to say?
Yes.
And in part, the reason you have changed your opinion is from information the police told you when they did those interviews with you, correct?
That and through the media and everything else, additional information I've gained around the situation of people.
So you got additional information from the police, which you don't know whether it's true or not, correct?
Correct.
And you would imagine, you would think the police are being truthful with you when they're telling you information.
Yes.
Okay? And if they're not being truthful with you, you're believing what they're saying anyway.
Yes.
And you would agree with me, because you just said you also saw a lot of media reports about various things in the case.
Correct.
Now, the media reports in the case have different information than things you initially thought or saw, correct?
Correct.
So when you've seen the media reports and you have a police officer telling you that the evidence you didn't know, it has made you second guess what you knew back right after the shooting, correct?
I did make a second guess. It just, some of it, because of timestamps, allows me to recall stuff better.
Well, would you agree with me? And I know you said, you testified you have some memory issues.
Judge, I'd like the
That-
witness to answer the question. He wasn't done answering the question.
I thought he was, I'm sorry. I interrupted you, I'm sorry.
I don't.
You said there were timestamps.
Yeah, when it helps if someone enlightens me, like if we go through messages, then I can actually I remember things. I can remember if you request specific information, I can give it. If someone just asks for something, I'll put out information, not knowing what they're looking for. The more specific something gets, the more accurately I can answer the question, or the more appropriately. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
sorry if I'm not wording that correctly.
No, you're totally fine. I'm gonna put your messages up on the screen.
Oh.
Can you please turn this on?
It's okay.
It's on. Can you please switch it over?
I might have to turn it on.
I have to get this, is the screen on up there? That when, okay, you and I would agree that when you sent these messages back in November and December of 2021, when these messages were sent, at that point, you thought differently about the case than you do now.
Correct.
But the information you had at the time was information that you had personal knowledge about because you had just talked to Jennifer Crumbly and had just exchanged all these messages, correct?
Correct.
You would also agree with me that when somebody in the courtroom shows you one message without the context around it, sometimes it's difficult to remember all of what you were talking about, correct?
It can be.
So for example, the prosecution asked you, about this message, okay, on page 53. And I'm gonna go up a little bit and then we're gonna go through it to see if the answer might be different.
Okay.
When you testified to the prosecutor, you recall testifying that Jennifer Crumbly, you believe, told you to delete all your messages, correct? And I'm gonna go down, I'm
I
so
was just
sorry.
referring to what I read.
Okay, so 53, they just put up this text that says, clear your cache, I don't know, how do you say that? Okay, they didn't show.
So she doesn't even know how the difference between cache and cache. Cache is a technical term. Okay. It's when your browser has cached cookies that sometimes make you end up on the same page that you were on before. If it thinks that you're looking at the same thing, right? So they're talking about clearing cache, and the attorney's like, cache, and she keeps saying cache, even though the fireman just told her, no, it's cache. This is the type of stuff that makes me go, Arr!
Show you the messages before it or after it, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so let's go up a little bit before it, okay? Prior to that conversation, so if we just go a little bit up in the messages, okay? Jennifer Crumbly says, and this is specifically on page 53, and I'll leave it still, I apologize. Jennifer Crumbly said, can you see if James's account is deactivated? Correct?
Correct.
Now by that, you knew she was meaning his Facebook account.
Correct.
So you said, and it's up on the screen, I'll check. Your next message to her about a minute later was, nope, still up, correct?
Right.
Now, you would agree with me that you were responding to the message about, is James's account still up? His Facebook account.
But yes.
So while you were having this text conversation, you went in and checked to see if you could see James's Facebook page.
Correct.
Now, Jennifer says to you, and I'm going to just keep going further down, we just bought new phones with old numbers to take care of this shit, correct?
Right.
And at that time, it's when she's trying to delete all social media accounts. You are aware of that, correct?
Yes.
And Jennifer types to you, and this is the message the prosecution brought in, clear your cache, correct?
Correct.
And you said, good move, correct?
Correct.
She says after clear your, I'm gonna say cache because I don't really know how you say it. She says clear your
I'm just gonna
cache,
say what I think,
then check.
even though it's
Okay.
wrong.
And you wrote cache cleared, it's still up, correct?
Correct.
By clear your cache, she was saying close Facebook and restart
Objection,
it.
Judge, again, speculation.
Well, it does call for speculation.
I can ask him what he thought it meant. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. When she's trying to find out if his account has been effectively deactivated, what did you do to see if the account had been deactivated?
What it says, I cleared my cache, it means I went to Facebook, clear the cache, which keeps, I don't know the computer terminology, but it keeps track stuff and whatever, so it kind of would make it refresh, so I would get a fresh view.
So you wanted to refresh it to get a fresh view to see if the open account was then closed.
Correct.
So this is not about deleting messages. This is about checking the status of a Facebook account.
Objection, speculation.
I'm asking him if he
Well,
perceived
ask
it
him.
to be.
Well, ask him.
Did you believe this message exchange was to find out if James's Facebook was closed?
Yes, that's what it looks like already.
Okay, and then the conversation keeps going. Jennifer Crumbly says he can't get into it and we not deactive or hot deactive. Do you see that?
Yeah.
And Jennifer writes WTF. Do you see that?
Yes,
And then you wrote, whatever you did, the second attempt to deactivate your account worked. Do you remember that?
yes,
Okay, so looking at this now, then Jennifer says, so it's gone. And she says his, to specifically ask you, his Facebook account now is gone, correct?
Correct.
And you say, no, it's still up. Then you say his page is gone, right?
correct.
Okay, so when we look at more context around that message, clear your cache, do you believe
It's
that the intent
cash.
was to have you refresh to figure out if the Facebook account was active and had become deactivated?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. I am going to go through with you messages that were exchanged between yourself and Jennifer Crumbly back in November and December of last year, okay? They've been admitted and the prosecutor asked you about a few of the messages, okay? I will put the messages up on the screen, and if you need more context around what I'm showing you, I need you to tell me, okay? And I'm going to apologize in advance. Some of these are going to go out of order. I'm going to go in order of the messages, okay?
Okay.
So if my questions bounce around, it's because I just prepared them in a few minutes, okay? All right, so let's go to.
I didn't have time because I just opened the door and I shouldn't have.
Page 7, okay? Okay, and this is. Okay, so on page number 7, after talking about, Jennifer's asking you, and I'm gonna have it right on the screen, is my Facebook page still showing? I deactivated it, and you said you'll check, right?
Yes,
Okay, you told Jennifer you'll have plenty of threats, correct?
correct.
And you told her at that point, I can still see your page, James's also, right?
Correct.
Okay, going down further, okay, so I'm gonna go to page 8 of this text thread, and you can tell me if I'm going too fast. Jennifer sent you screenshots, okay, and I see 1, 2, 3 screenshots. Those were threatening messages that she had received, correct?
It appears that way. I can't see all.
And you told her right after that, that won't stop, and suggested to her, do not respond, correct? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, now, there is pages 8 through, after page 8, okay, there's a number of screenshots, okay, that you begin sending on page 11, okay? And so on page 11, you send 1, 2, 3, 3 shots. Those are threats you found on her Facebook to make her aware of those, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so then we go on to page 12. There's 3 more screenshots you sent to Jennifer showing her 3 more threats.
Correct.
Then going down, okay, and I think the jury is getting this.
I've noticed that what this defense attorney does is she brings in a lot of, conversation and about the threats that Jennifer is getting, the mental distress she's going through, how horrible she feels, even when it really isn't germane to what she's talking to a particular witness about. So she's talking about all these threats and she's going in detail. Does this matter to this witness? I don't know.
This. Page 13, 14, 15, and 16 all contain more individual threats against Jennifer, correct?
Correct.
And it's fair to say at that point, you knew people were threatening her and her husband.
Yes.
On page 16, you say, I can't.
Hold on, objection. If you can't even see them on the screen, how is this witness able to say correct to her affirmative question, this is a threat? The witness needs to say whether or not, one, he can read it. If he can't read it, does he remember it independently? Because that's important to know.
Your Honor, if I knew this was going
And
to
even can counsel read it?
Okay, yeah, ask the question and, yeah, ask him the question.
Okay, my question is, those messages that you provided to Jennifer were to show Jennifer specific threats that you could see on her Facebook page, correct?
I would say that what was going on, bad things being said, anything like that along those lines. There were a lot of people saying horrible things.
So some of them may not be a specific threat, but it's horrible things, correct? And overall, the things you are sending to Jennifer Crumbly, you, in your mind, want her to stay safe, correct?
Correct.
In the moment when you're sending her these texts, you are worried about her safety.
Making her aware of what's going on
Okay.
in the community.
And
Around
there
Facebook.
was so much bad stuff, so many bad messages and threats and whatever else that you said to her,
Objection in the form
can't.
of the question, so much bad stuff, threats, whatever else.
Yeah, ask,
Unless he has personal knowledge, that's no problem.
yeah,
Well,
ask
we
him the
just had him
question.
testify about the personal knowledge, so
Okay, so you saw there was negative things in the press, there's negative text, there's negative Facebook posts, and you're sending some of them to her.
Yes.
okay. And it got to the point where you told Jennifer you couldn't keep up.
Yes.
There were that many.
Yes.
And again, on page 17, and I'm not going to go through each one, but on 17 through 27, okay? So over the next 10 pages of screenshots, you're still sending, I called them bad messages, which is vague.
Objection, she can't refer to them as anything.
If you know, what are they? if
What
you
are
know?
these?
What are they, if you know?
If there's screenshots that took off Facebook, there was things people were saying regarding them.
But unless he has specific recollection, Judge, he can't testify without personal knowledge. It's a basic rule.
During that time, were you sending her screenshots of anything else?
Thank you. Now, when you and Jennifer were talking, and if you need more context, let me know. I'm going to ask you about some specific things, but I got the whole thread up, okay? Jennifer says to you, and I'm on page 30 of the text, her reaction was, Ethan ruined his life, our lives, and multiple others. I don't even know how to absorb this, correct?
Correct.
That was a response she gave to you about her, feelings, as far as you could tell.
Yes.
Now, going further down on page 31, she said to you, I'm in panic business mode and I need legal help stat, correct?
Correct.
What was your impression? What is your belief? panic business mode means.
I don't know. Looking at what I'm just trying to pick out, I don't understand what.
She goes on in her next text to talk about selling the horse. And in these texts, she ends up talking to you about what she's doing with her pets. Correct?
I don't see that. I can just see what talking to Kira about for the horse. I'm sorry, I don't.
No, that's okay. I don't want to cut you off, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. My question is, as Jennifer's texting you, it's obvious, and tell me if it's not, that she's trying to take care of various business
Objection.
related to their house and work.
Speculation again.
If you know, what was she doing and telling you about this?
What I see right here is dealing with the horses. That's what I can see with this page up.
Okay, we'll get to some of the other things later then. Now, when she mentioned getting an attorney, on page 32, you specifically asked her to defend you two or Ethan too, correct?
Correct.
And her response to you on page 32 was Ethan.
Correct.
Further, on page 32, Jennifer wrote to you, then there's the fact that the system failed. They should have never blown it off and made it seem of no concern and gave him the option to go back to class, correct?
Correct.
That does not say, I chose for him to go back to class.
Correct.
This is a running theme in this trial. The defense's strategy is to put everything on the school. Just to put everything on the school.
Jennifer Crumbly says it could have been prevented.
Correct.
Yeah, if you didn't buy him a fucking gun.
Jennifer texts you
At
or
15.
messages you. The whole conversation was very nonchalant. Oh, here's a list of counselors, but we don't see him as a threat. And we just agreed because he, capital letters, has never done anything wrong, correct?
The school felt that he was a threat to himself. And that's what they've testified very clearly to. They felt that with his drawings and with his behavior and his depressive state, he was a threat to himself. They didn't think he was a threat to others, which may have been a misjudgment on their part, but that they're not the ones on trial right now.
Correct? And when this text came in, you believed she was talking about the counseling meeting that you knew she had had at the school.
Correct.
And her description in this text is that they were nonchalant.
Correct.
And she, you know Jennifer Crumbly, you've dealt with her before, correct?
Correct.
In your opinion, knowing Jennifer, did she seem upset with the school?
It appears, yes.
She also goes on page 33 to say, I failed as a parent, I failed miserably, correct?
Correct.
Knowing Jennifer, did you believe she felt horrible?
I would hope
You
so.
wrote back to her in response to that comment, you didn't do this, correct?
Correct.
And on page 35, I'm scrolling down further, she lets you know, I'm scared, correct?
Correct.
And
Correct? Correct?
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much for that clarification. Perfect. Thank you so much for that clarification. Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Correct? Correct? Perfect.
you say to her, I bet you literally need to disappear once you are free to do so. Yes?
Yes.
Why were you suggesting that she needed to disappear?
Just because of the public, everybody knowing everything that's going on with their names and everything, you just can't be in the public once that your name's out like that.
So not being in the public, you were suggesting to her, you need to disappear in terms of not have the public see where you are, things like that, correct?
Correct.
On page 30.
This is a firefighter, right? He's an employee of the county or the city or however it might be. He's not going to be telling her to run away from law enforcement. He's telling her to disappear from social media. And I feel like the defense attorney keeps trying to confuse the jury about that as well.
36, Mrs. Crumbly is talking to you a little bit more and mentions to you, my son did this. I still can't even figure out where his brain snapped. Correct?
Correct.
That was what she said to you on December 1st, so the day after the shooting, correct?
Correct.
And your response to her, when she says she doesn't know how his brain snapped, was, I do not know, right?
Right.
You have no idea what could have happened.
You saying you don't know how his brain snapped doesn't mean you shouldn't know based on you living with him. And I'm hearing that he was sleeping with his parents because of the demons, and that he called his mother because he was seeing demons, that he was locked out of the house the night before the shooting because of hallucinations. When that is going on and you have put a deadly weapon in the hands of that human being, I'm sorry if you don't know this yet, but you should know that by now. Okay? If this trial doesn't teach you anything, maybe it will teach you that, how to look out for signs that a kid could be dangerous to himself or others, and not to put a gun in their hand when he's 15, 16, 17 years old, 18 years old.
You had no idea or reason to see personally that something like a shooting was going to happen, right?
Correct.
So when you were testifying earlier that you had concerns that day and thought a shooting might happen, that's a new opinion you have that's different from this day when you were messaging Jennifer.
That was, I wasn't ever thinking a shooting was going to take place. I was thinking more he would hurt himself.
So you never thought a
Exactly.
shooting would take place at that time, after that time, or now?
Correct.
So if you were concerned about anything from any conversations with Jennifer, it was about him hurting himself.
Correct.
It was Jennifer who had, I think it's been 2 years, Cheryl. She's the one who was sharing out the image of the drawing he made that concerned the school, and where they said this kid needs help. She was sharing that with the horse trainer or the horse stable owner where she kept her horse or horses even. And she shared that with this guy and probably with others. So at that point, when the school's telling you this is concerning, and you see that kind of a drawing, you might need to think about that your kid's brain has snapped. Okay?
Jennifer goes on and she's talking to you further about her reaction to everything that happens. And on page 36, she tells you, I want to die. Is that fair?
Yes.
And on 36, you told her, be careful of anything you type on Messenger or text. It will all be subpoenaed and kept track of. The FBI is involved. They can access anything and everything, correct?
Like it is now.
And on that day, you were informing Jennifer, just know everything you say, law enforcement can get.
Correct.
And you were sending that because that's what you believed.
Correct.
And this is an example of everything they could get, correct?
Correct.
And at no time did Jennifer say to you, delete certain messages or anything, correct?
Correct.
And she didn't say to you, oh God, I gotta go delete all these messages, right?
Correct.
In fact, she just keeps texting you through the next couple days through Facebook Messenger.
Correct.
Even after you give her the advice, they're gonna get it all. Yes?
Yes.
I'm going down to 39. And at 9:25 a.m. on 12/1, Jennifer Crumbley's told you that he is being arraigned and tried as an adult. Watching it now. You would agree with me she's talking about her son at that point,
Yes.
the shooter.
Yes.
You told her you had just heard it and asked how she was doing.
Correct.
And her response at 9:26 was, I'm sick.
Correct.
And then I'm going down to page 40. I'm skipping a couple messages, but if you need me to go back, you can let me know. Trying to find a
Prosecution's
place to stay
redirect
right
is
now.
really good.
Jennifer sent that to you at 9:47 in the morning. Yes?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that when she sent you this text and said, trying to find a place to stay right now, you knew she could not go to her home.
Correct.
And you also would agree with me that this was at a time when there was lots of threats, as we've discussed.
Objection, again, specificity, and we've already talked about this.
There was negativity. There was lots of negativity, correct?
I think that's a determination for the jury to make. Looking at the evidence.
Now, on page 41, you say to Jennifer, I'm glad you're safely out of the area. Jen, I can't even imagine being in your shoes. Why did you say those things?
Going back to like all the messages and everything, where something involving her family or son, something happened, and I can't imagine me if she was like that, bro.
Now, going down, she's asking you if you've heard anything, any other rumors, correct?
Yes.
You're telling her, I haven't heard anything.
Right.
And then she says to you on 12/1 at 11:10, we heard we may get charged too, correct?
Correct.
And your response at 11:12 was, that was mentioned on a news station. I don't know how both of you can be charged. I can only assume they will charge James with the handgun not being secured, correct?
Correct.
Now, at that point, there was a message that was unsent that said, we had the string lock on it, came with the case.
Okay,
So,
right.
okay, so the message.
Sorry, I had a little bit of a Wi-Fi glitch at the moment. I'm still here. She probably unsent that message because it was determined that it wasn't true that it was locked, right?
Jennifer's representing to you, we had the gun locked.
That's a message I'm seeing now. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't.
that's the message you're seeing now,
Correct.
and that's the message the prosecution is saying she unsent you.
Correct.
Objection, it's not the prosecution saying this,
Yes,
it's the evidence.
it's the expert who testified about
Thank you.
what happens to unsent messages.
Well, I don't believe that he would know what the expert said, but Mr. Keyston, his questioning said,
Okay, well, his objection was that you mischaracterized that.
Okay. The message about we had the string lock on it. Do you know what a string lock is?
There isn't a string lock, but I know what was being referenced to it. A
What?
cable lock was being referenced.
A cable lock?
Correct.
So the message to you does not say, oh my God, the gun was unlocked, right?
Right.
Even if she unsent the message to you and you never got it, the message says, we had the string lock on
Yeah.
it.
Delete it again. It's mischaracterizing the evidence.
It's unsent.
Well, no, it was sent and deleted. They retrieved it
Yes,
through
thank you.
extraction.
Okay, but I guess my point is the message that was retracted does not say we left it unlocked. That's what I'm asking.
Edward, he can testify that what the messages are. I introduced the exhibit. Edward Wogrowski already testified to what this means. So I think that speaks for itself.
Okay. Well, I think she switched to a different question. You didn't get a message from her that saying that the gun was unlocked.
Correct.
On page 44, there's another message that appears to be deleted. Deleted or unsent. Which word would you prefer me to use? Deleted?
It's not my
retracted?
word, Judge.
I'm asking you just so we can.
Oh my God. She is so petulant. She has been told over and over what it means, the difference between unsent and deleted, and she keeps mixing it up. So what do you think, chat? Do you think she's doing that on purpose to confuse the jury, or do you think she's really just that much of a dumbass? I don't know.
Counsel,
Pick a word.
I don't want to be addressed by counsel.
Okay, well, ask the question. Okay, there's another message that was sent and then.
Okay,
deleted.
there's another message that indicates it was unsent on page 44.
It would have been a message that he received, right? So it would have been a message he received.
Okay, so the message was everything was secured, not loaded, bullets stored away separately. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Correct?
Correct.
Jennifer did not send you any messages that says we were careless with that weapon.
Correct.
She did not send you any messages like, oh my God, we left it unlocked and left the bullets in it, correct?
Right.
Your understanding of what Jennifer says is secured, not loaded, bullets.
Right, because she was concealing bad facts from her boyfriend. Right.
Stored away separately, correct?
Correct.
And she is saying, OMG, OMG, OMG. You agree with me? That means, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Jennifer goes on page 45 and says, there's an unsent message at 12:42, okay? And so the next message has the unsent message, and it reads.
Judge, I hate to keep doing this, but it's mischaracterizing the evidence.
Yeah, it was sent to him and he received it and then it was later deleted.
I guess I'm not understanding this unsent thing. Okay, so there's a message Jennifer Crumbly did.
Once again, not understanding the difference between deleted and unsent. And you're trying to bring in reasonable doubt. And I bet you most of the jury understands the difference, okay?
Deleted,
But it was first sent.
that was first sent.
And then it was extracted.
So it's extracted, it was ultimately deleted. That message says, oh no, I'll never be okay. I lost my son and he's a murderer and I'll forever have to live with the guilt of that, correct?
Correct.
And she says, I'm not even sure life is worth living anymore.
Have you noticed that she hasn't mentioned anything about the families? That she's lost her son. That her son's a murderer. That her life is over. But how about the 8 kids he killed? Okay?
Correct? Jennifer Crumbly, at this point, from knowing her and receiving these texts, feels, from what you know of her as a person, you would believe she feels really, really, really awful.
Speculation.
Well, it's time for speculation.
I asked him from what he knows of her.
Still speculation.
Jennifer also texted you.
You know, I am starting to get irritated with the judge. It's almost like she doesn't just sustain or overrule. She feels like she has to get the person to agree with her before she makes a ruling on an objection. And judges, secure judges don't need to do that.
You messaged
I
you.
think the jury can draw conclusions from it.
I have nothing left to live for. B was it. And I take it to mean he was it. I have nothing to live for. He was it. Does that message make sense to you?
Yeah, yes.
What is your understanding or belief about it?
Assuming that was he was it, that's what she was looking for he.
On page 48, so I'm going down a little bit further. You gave her a warning at the top of that page about anyone that goes to your house will have their pictures, license plates, and identity plastered all over social media. People have lost their minds and need to rein it in before they get into trouble, correct?
Correct.
And you also said he wasn't, I've met him. That message is accurately displayed, correct?
Correct.
Okay, to give it some context, above that, Jennifer wrote to you, Ethan wasn't a bad kid, Brian, on 47, correct?
Yes.
And when you say he wasn't, I've met him, that's because you've met Ethan, correct?
Correct.
And you knew about Ethan from talking to Jennifer.
Yes.
So earlier today when you testified, you've never met Ethan. You actually have met Ethan.
Oh, I met him. I don't remember ever testifying I had met him.
Oh, I apologize. I thought you said you had not met him. I apologize then if I said it wrong.
Again, trying to impeach him on a petty little thing about whether he met him when he didn't even say that he didn't meet
You continue on and say, I can't condone or justify what he did, but I do know that he wasn't a bad kid, correct?
Correct.
So from what you know from Jennifer, prior to any of this, she had never complained to you that he was a bad kid. She had never complained to you that he had any kind of mental health issues or suspected mental health issues. Jennifer's position on page 49.
Welcome back, Just Dawn.
She says we will never be the same. And then her next text is, it's like mourning the death of my child, correct?
Correct.
It's fair to say that Mrs. Crumbly expressed sadness in these messages to you about her feelings with her son, correct?
Correct.
She expressed sadness about what happened to the victims and their families, correct? And the whole...
I didn't see that.
Characterization of
Nope.
the evidence, Judge. You can read what's on the text. You can't testify to what Jennifer Crumbly was trying to express. Just the words.
Did she ever state that? Did she ever state that in the text?
Just what I'm reading here is, I'm reading what's here, I'm sorry.
So these texts speak for themselves.
Exactly.
Okay, and I apologize that I have to go through these one by one.
You gotta do your
I
job.
didn't have these
Well,
before. I didn't know they were being used. Now that I know they're being used, they have important information this jury needs.
Okay,
Okay.
they're paying very close attention.
On page 49, Jennifer tells you, don't apologize. Ethan's life is over. I need to focus on saving ours.
That one pissed me off. Ethan's life's over. I give up. So I just need to focus on mine. And now I'm hearing that he got appointed counsel, public counsel, and she hired this professional counsel, this retained counsel. Wow. That's how she regards her kid.
Staying out of jail and not going into a financial hole, correct?
Correct.
And then she says to you, I really need my giving phone back. Knowing Jennifer, having texted with her many times, she meant fucking phone, correct?
Objection, again, Judge, can't speculate.
Well, he doesn't know.
I don't know.
Okay. You respond to her, yes, you support her in this. Yes, you really need to focus on you, capital letters. Nothing you do and no attorney is keeping him out of multiple life sentences. You need to get an attorney to defend yourself, correct?
Correct.
Then you say you don't know how or what they'll charge, but
Not
they will
this one.
try.
Correct.
And she says she's working on retaining an attorney.
Correct.
Now, she mentions to you on the bottom of page 50, they're saying involuntary manslaughter, correct?
Correct.
This is on December 2nd at 1:30 in the afternoon. Or, I'm sorry, 1:30. Is that correct?
It's morning, isn't it? I believe that's it.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. So it's at 1:30 in the morning. Jennifer says they're saying involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, the time is not correct. I'm sorry, the 1:31 PM is at UTC, right? So we're going back to, so it's like 9 in the morning. I'm just trying to clarify, so I don't lose
Yeah,
where I'm at. I'm sorry.
The
I
pro-
put my time
I
out.
have to be honest, I don't remember how that
Okay.
goes, the plus or minus, but ultimately, this text was sent to you before official charges were announced.
Yeah, it appears so. I don't.
So the basis of knowledge that you're relying on is what you're hearing in media and what people are telling you, correct?
Correct.
Thanks for being here, none your business.
It appears on page 51 that Jennifer deleted another message that she sent you and deleted that says, we're on the run again, helicopters, not sure where to, I'll message you, correct?
Correct.
Now, when Jennifer says to you, we're on the run, she also verbally told you, we're running away from the threats and the media.
Objection, I don't believe there's any evidence that they had any verbal conversations.
Yeah, I didn't hear him testify to that yet.
Well, let me back up and ask a different question.
Okay.
Did Jennifer say anything to you that they were on the run, running from police?
Objection, say, I mean, let's be specific here.
Yeah, did you talk to her on the phone?
I don't recall.
Okay, so when she says helicopters, do you know what that means? And if you don't, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Do you know why she typed that to you?
No, I'm really not.
Okay, then that's okay. That's okay, thank you. On page 54, Jennifer says to you that she's deleting accounts and deactivating accounts. But she talks to you about that again, correct?
Yeah.
Now, on page 55, so going further down, we're on December 2nd. Later that morning, I'm going in order in terms of your testimony. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
Okay, so going down more, on page 55, we can agree that Jennifer told you she just got into her email and there's so many death threats and hate. I literally just want to die. That's what Jennifer says to you. It says on here at 12/2/21 at 5:23 p.m. U2C+0, correct?
Correct.
This is before the charges against Mrs. Crumbly were announced.
I believe so. I'm really having trouble with the dates. What day is this compared to shooting? I'm sorry. I'm getting a little
No, that's
trouble.
okay. The shooting was on November 30th.
30th. Okay.
Okay, and we're talking now
It's 2
about
days after.
December 2nd.
Okay.
And
2
then-
days after.
Just to make sure you have the context, on December 3rd, that was the day the press conference was held and Jennifer Crumbly was charged.
Okay.
Okay, so does that help
Yes.
keep it straight?
They
Okay.
charge the parents pretty quickly.
So she tells you that she got in her email. Okay, then the next thing she says on page 56, which is the next page, is that her texts are even worse. Correct?
Correct.
On 59 through 61, there are a variety of screenshots that we see here. Did you see those as I went through on page 57?
Yes. I don't know. I can't see what they are, but I see you showing me screenshots.
That was going to be my question. And if you don't know, just tell me. Do you have any recollection of what those were?
I do not.
On page 59 through 61, you send a variety more, it looks like screenshots. You don't remember what those specifically were, correct?
Correct.
Any messages that you were forwarding were negative towards Mrs. Crumbly. Is that fair?
I don't know what these are. I can't see them.
At that point in time, were you still seeing negativity on social media and in the public?
I don't recall.
On page 62, Jennifer says, I need people who know us as parents to be behind us more than ever, correct?
Correct.
She never said something to you like, I need you to lie for me, right?
Correct.
There's 3 more screenshots sent. Any idea about those?
No idea. Not seeing them.
Okay, then on page 64, Mrs. Crumbly sends you some screenshots. Do you see those?
Yes.
I'm going to fast forward to the part where then the prosecutor gets up and redirects, because you get the picture. She's just going through screenshot after she's going through all these messages, and she's trying to put a different spin on exactly what was just testified to, right? She's putting, and every time she tries to put that different spin on it, she's misinterpreting things. She's putting words in people's mouths. She's putting in facts that are not in evidence. So let's get to where the prosecutor gets up and starts his redirect, because I think it's pretty good.
School,
So it would be fair to say that times you and Jennifer Crumbly were together were when her son would have been school days.
And right now, at the end of her questioning of the witness, she's trying to get in front of what the prosecutor might talk about, and say that, her extramarital affair didn't take away any time from her child.
Is correct?
Correct.
In terms of the extent of your relationship, were there many trips or overnights or things like that?
No.
That if it ever did happen was very minimal, correct?
Correct.
And at the end of the day, despite the fact that you and Mrs. Crumbly may have had an affair, you never believed that Mrs. Crumbly didn't care about her son, correct?
Correct.
her relationship with you was very separate from her relationship with her child.
Correct.
And the amount of time that she spent with you was very minimal compared to the amount
Evil
of time
queen.
you knew she'd be at home and with her son
Oh,
and doing
that's,
other
that's
things.
speculation unless he
Well,
has
yeah,
a
we
lot
have
of details.
Yeah, that, he didn't say that, so.
Okay, I can ask a better question. Throughout the days, while you and Mrs. Crumbly would talk to one another.
7 years. Let me see.
From her relationship with her child.
Correct.
And the amount of time that she spent with you was very minimal compared to the amount of time you knew she'd be at home.
Yeah, I don't think I
one
heard that.
another. Okay, so we're not,
In 21.
so we're not talking every day or anything like that, correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Stop
bad
communicating with her.
As soon as I saw in the news that, that the warrants were issued and they were, being apprehended, but not.
They're not turning themselves in?
Correct.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that we're all clear. You're not accusing anyone in law enforcement of threatening you, are you?
No.
Okay. And in fact, when you interviewed with investigator Mike Thomas, December of 2023, he actually referred to you as brother. Would that be right?
Correct.
And you guys left the interview with exchanging phone numbers, and you actually called him the next
Your
day.
Honor, I would ask that the leading questions stop.
Okay. So what was the tenor of that conversation? Was it an interrogation? Was his voice elevated like mine, or was he calm?
It went back and forth. It varied.
Okay. Did you feel like you were being yelled at?
At some point.
So one point he asked you about your pension. I'm going to look at the transcript here. When he first introduced himself to you, he was talking about you, how long you've been a firefighter, and your answer was, here 21 and a half years. He said, okay. And I worked for Independence, and I was on call for 7 hours before here. And then Mr. Thomas said, pensioner is straight 401. She asked specifically if he was threatened that his pension would be revoked. I think it's important that the jury understands what that context was.
Your Honor, all I'm asking for is that I get a chance for recross, because if the prosecutor's gonna pick tiny parts of this transcript and not the whole thing, that's a problem.
Hold on, yeah.
No, I don't have the transcript.
She
I
has,
don't-
okay, first of all, the allegation of picking tiny parts, she accused 2 veteran officers of threatening when this witness said, no, he wasn't threatened. And I think it's important for me to go through that transcript, that interview, to talk about the portion that she brought up.
First of
He
all,
can take whatever questions he wants out of there. He doesn't have to, he can ask whatever he wants about that. You don't have a transcript?
I don't.
She can make her own transcript. She's
I
a retained
don't.
attorney.
It's
Okay,
fine.
Okay, wait, you have,
I've seen the audio. I took my own notes from it.
okay,
Okay,
all right,
so, okay.
Your notes are not reliable, lady.
Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
Your pensioner is straight 401. You said pension. How much longer you got? 3.5. You got a COLA, cost of living out of it? Your response, yeah. What's your COLA? Oh, I don't know what it is now. I think what's your multiplier? 2.8. Was he threatening to take your pension away?
No.
Okay. Did you ever feel like he was going to have your job taken from you?
No.
Okay. You were asked. Mr. Thomas asked you about the importance for the truth. Now, as a veteran firefighter, are you surprised that law enforcement wanted to gather the truth?
No.
Okay. And in fact, you agreed.
Your Honor, I would ask objection to leading questions.
Judge,
You would
on
agree.
redirect, I am entitled to some leeway, especially in light of what counsel asked.
Not to leading questions.
Okay, let's not ask leading questions.
Okay, well, that didn't suggest the answer.
I know you can do it, Mr. Keats.
All right. Sir, you were interviewed by law enforcement?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And in December of 2021 was the first interview?
Yes.
Okay. So you were asked specifically about certain things that were said in that interview. And you did tell the police in the interview that she said she was worried he might hurt himself or something like that. That was your type statement.
Yes.
Okay. And you repeated that again in December of 2023.
Yes.
Okay. And then you testified to that today.
Yes.
That's never changed.
Correct.
All right. So the very first interview you had with law enforcement.
Your Honor, objection to leading questions.
I didn't even ask the question.
Well,
The last three were leading.
he asked him, did you make this statement in your written, did you say this in your written statement? Yes. Did you put this statement, did you testify to this? Yes. So I don't think that was leading.
You told the police in December of 2021 about an extramarital affair.
That's leading.
What did you tell the police about your relationship with Jennifer Crumley?
Correct.
What did you tell the police?
Extramarital.
Okay. Did you give all the details?
No.
Okay. Did you tell the police how many times a week you would meet her?
No.
Okay. Did you tell the police about trips and specific times during the week?
No.
Okay. Now, why didn't you give all of those details in December of 2021?
Because I don't want those made public.
Okay. Are you happy about being here today?
No.
Okay. What was your thought in withholding some of that information?
That it would protect people in my life, other people in my life, my family, my wife.
I imagine you've had some conversations since that time.
Yes.
Did you know how Jennifer Crumley parented?
How awful.
No.
Okay. Was that ever a topic of conversation?
No.
But you do know that you met her in a Costco parking lot across the street from her employer. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And that would happen, as counsel said, during the work days?
Correct.
And during work hours?
Correct.
Okay. And you don't recall how often that would happen, but was it a regular thing?
Yes.
You also told us that Jennifer Crumley in that Facebook post told you she had a string lock. Is there such a thing as a string lock?
No.
Okay. You also told us that she told you that her son's friend committed suicide, and that the school didn't send her the original drawing. That's all those Facebook posts. Is that correct? Okay. And did you come to learn that those three things were actually not true?
Yes.
Oh, so she lied. She lied to him.
Now, did Jennifer ever tell you the details about that meeting with the school?
Not that I recall.
Did she ever tell you anything about her son in the spring of 2021?
No.
Did she ever tell you anything specifically about March 9th, 17th, 20th, 21st of 2021?
No.
Did she ever tell you about anything with her son's life in April of 2021?
No.
Did she ever tell you anything about her life in June of 2021?
No.
Did she ever tell you that she didn't have to be at a meeting later in the day on November the 30th, 2021? In fact, she was able to leave work to meet you when it pleased her.
Yes.
Actually, I think LED, they did, that was brought up at some point where she, and I forget exactly how it came out, but it has come out in this trial that she had that her boss, and I think it was when her former boss was on the stand, her boss had told her, take whatever time you need to do whatever you need to do. And the school told her to take him to counseling, and she used work as an excuse not to do it. Right? So there you go.
Sir, when you were subpoenaed, you were told that we were not going to bring out the extramarital affair. Is that correct?
Your Honor, objection. As far as it goes with legal issues, that is not appropriate questions in front of the jury.
Why is that not inappropriate?
Because the prosecution's trying to allege that I've done something to put this witness in a bad spot when the evidence in this case requires the jury know all the information.
I think his question is directed at the fact that Mr. Walsh was probably taken off guard.
She seems to forget that she's the one that had it all quashed and then reopened the door, and now she's acting like a victim of it.
When he testified today. Isn't that what your question's about?
Yes, Judge.
Yeah. You didn't know you were going to ask those things.
No.
Okay. Jennifer wrote to you that she felt like she failed as a parent.
That was in the message.
In the messages, yes. But she didn't tell you any of the specificity, any of the details regarding that.
No.
She didn't tell you anything about the background of her son and her husband. And again, I just want to make something crystal clear. In the interviews you had with law enforcement, nobody ever told you that you would be fired, correct? No one ever told you that you had the risk of being fired. What were you told to do when you came to court today?
Tell the truth.
Okay, and have you told the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Your Honor, I have two questions.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Malesh, it's fair to say you testified earlier, you have memory issues.
Yes.
Okay, describe those memory issues for this jury.
Judge, that's been asked and answered. It's beyond the scope of
Exactly.
the and unless we're gonna go through all the prior consistent statements.
I'll withdraw that question. I'll withdraw the question.
Come on, Judge.
Earlier when you testified, and this is my last question, you did say you had feelings that there was pressure on you about certain areas of your life being affected by your statements to police,
Hold on,
correct?
Judge. That's mischaracterizing the testimony. He's testified multiple times. He was not threatened.
Okay, well, she didn't ask that.
I
She
asked-
has asked that.
Well,
I
you
did
know,
ask that.
I've got some, a little bit of inconsistent. I don't know if it's testimony or vibe from you. Did you, at any point, you said the police didn't threaten you, but,
There were veiled threats.
well, I asked that. Did you feel like there were any veiled threats? He said yes, but he didn't tell me what those were. So, you know, did you feel pressure to tell the police some things? And if so, what were those pressures? You said that your job wasn't threatened.
Yes, Your Honor. Can I specify what I was trying to do to clarify?
Please.
This is good. Listen to
Trying
this.
clarify, I felt, I was guarding myself in my statements, and being the investigator was pushing it and inferring that this would all get out, which it has now, with what was going on. He didn't threaten my job. He was asking questions that were professionally related.
There you go.
You know, he was trying to establish some sort of rapport with me because he worked in law enforcement, was asking about pensions. He did get more aggressive with it, and it was threatening, as in personal information getting out about me out in the open to the public and stuff.
Okay.
But did that help?
Okay, do either of you have any questions based on that?
I do.
Okay.
Did he ever tell you to say something that wasn't true?
No.
Okay. You were told to tell the truth.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else?
You were asked questions repeatedly, the same question over and over.
Like
That's
she's
what
doing
happened
right now.
today. Correct? Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna let you step out and you're excused.
All right, I'm going to mute this while we watch her body language as she's like, okay. In case you don't realize it, she made a really bad calculation. She decided to open the door on something that was going to show people that this woman had more things going on in her life that was going to take her away from focusing on the issues with her son. Right? She could have reasonably known that her son was, having problems and doing this and listen to him more closely if she wasn't preoccupied with a lot of other things like her horses and her, her extramarital affairs and taking time off of work to have her extramarital affair, but not, I don't know. This was just a really, really, really bad calculation. I want to make sure we're not missing anything.
Privileged records of the shooter and Fifth Amendment rights of the shooter. And
Not much more important happens there. So that's what I wanted to show you. I feel like, this defense counsel who apparently was Larry Nassar's defense counsel, and he lost big time. He lost big time. Yeah, he does still have a wedding ring on. Somebody else said that they thought he might have gotten divorced, but he has a wedding ring on, so I'm not sure. So I just think the defense made a really bad strategic error. And we'll see how it plays out. I'm not sure if I'll carry this live. I'll definitely still be watching this. The other day I also watched the Murdaugh hearing, where his attempt to get a new trial was denied by the judge, but that was a very, very, very interesting hearing. Super interesting. And I was very interested in the judge's ruling, and honestly agree with it, because I don't think that any of the things that were brought out proves that he didn't murder his family members. So yeah, it's definitely not her first high profile case. One Red Rose. I haven't looked super far into Scott Peterson and why the LA Innocence Project has picked him up. I do know that Innocence Projects will take on cases when they're trying to get press attention. Now, I'm not saying that's why they're doing this. Just the fact that they're reviewing it does not mean that they're actually agreeing to represent him and take it all the way. My understanding is that they just announced that they're reviewing it, right? So anyway, thank you all for being here. Thank you, wonderful chatters, for being respectful and smart. I always love having conversations with you all. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. Consider joining if you haven't already. And I will see you on the next one, on the next one, on the next one. All right. I will talk to you soon. Have a great, 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 wonderful rest of, my opinion on him. I think he's guilty, but I don't know for sure. Anyway, I'll talk to you all later. Have a great rest of your day.